Welcome to the News Underground. How you doing? We were listening to Playa Paradise there from 9/11 Playa, and we were enjoying some of the footage from Hood Vlogs. Look at that. He's almost at 1 million subscribers, folks. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to Hood Vlogs for that real shit. On the ground reporting, right? You got to love it. 27 days till it all hits the fan. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think it's going to be a big nothing burger because, look, here's the thing about January 6th, and because there's a lot of misinformation about it because mainstream media, they don't tell the whole story. But Donald Trump enabled January 6th to happen. He weakened the Capitol Police. Of course, he held back orders. There was conflicting orders within to kind of let this happen. There were some people, they don't really go into that. They don't really go into that. Hold on, I got to fix this. So there's not going to be another January 6th without a Donald Trump like character in charge of the White House. Okay, my mic is too loud, for sure. I verified that. But I got to keep everything else low as well, or else that's not going to work. Audio mixing while streaming is a huge pain in the ass, but we won't get into that. Anyway, folks, I'm Abandoned Nihilism. This is the News Underground. Today we're going to be covering a little bit of Kamala. Here we go. No, hold on.
China?
That's the best I got. We also got this one. No, hold on. Here we go.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Yeah, it's funny stuff.
I'm going to come.
Yay!
I can't breathe.
Oh, it's so terrible.
I can't breathe.
He's making fun of George
Don't
Floyd.
ask me the question, please.
Anyway, we're going to do a little Kamala, just a little bit of Kamala, a little bit of Donald Trump, right wing. Going to jump into war stuff, Israel, Ukraine, and we do have some bad news out of Ukraine, some Vuladar bad news. That is, of course, being blown way out of proportion. Because, let me tell you, the amount of resources dumped into Vuladar to take it, I mean, in a way, it's like it really shouldn't be framed as a loss. It can't really be framed as a victory, but it can't really be framed as a complete loss, for Ukraine either. Situations like Vuladar. And we'll get into some of the numbers. You'll see. And then my favorite thing at the end of the stream is we're just going to take a big poopy doodle on history's worst truck made by our favorite Homer Simpson clone, Elon Musk. A whole segment on all the latest information that we have about the Cybertruck, how terrible it is, how unsafe it is, and spoiler alert, everyone's favorite multi-trillion-dollar cartoon lizard has made statements. Geico, maybe you remember the caveman advertisements from Geico, but everyone knows the goddamn lizard. Geico has said, no, we're done. We're not insuring the Cybertruck. This thing is a death trap. It's a piece of shit. It's like literally rust bucket on wheels. As soon as the Trump election is over, these things are going to be going on sale. You won't be able to get rid of a Cybertruck for like $30,000 by next year. That's my prediction. It's going to be historic depreciation because these things are built like tissue boxes. Anyway, we'll get to it. Nothing I love more than taking a cyber shit on the cyber fucking crap cyber fuck truck. I'm funny. Love your content. Joining next stream. These bots. Does this do anything? I think the reason why these bots exist is because Kick. Oh no, that's DLive. I was thinking DLive. No, so I was thinking because the cryptocurrency thing, but no, DLive is the one with the cryptocurrency. So what is the point? Are there people hiring? Maybe it's okay. It's got to be other streamers hiring these content farms to do this for them. I mean, I was joking about how Cybertruck might be beating the top spot for the Lada. No, I'm serious. No, it's the worst vehicle ever made. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Insurrection. If Trump doesn't win, we're going to repeat January 6th. The snipers. Yeah, no, exactly. Tisrael. No, I mean, it's Trump enabled January 6th. Trump enabled those people to get into the Capitol. I reported on it. I was literally following the story because there, after he lost the election, there was like, he's a lame duck for a couple months. And I was like, dude, look at all this crazy shit that he's doing. He was prepping his arguments. The rhetoric was already prepping for like, oh, the mail-in ballots were a fraud. It's all a fraud. It's all this. We're gonna get. It was all prep. I was gonna make some shit up. I didn't want to do that, so I stopped myself. Anyway, welcome back, strategy member Chem Goblin, Tisrael, Simply Steve. It's good to see you on a Monday. Carl Toes over there. Thank you, Carl Toes, for coming back. I hope we do get to see Pot Smoker from Denmark, Sir Smoke a Lot from Denmark. I guess his skepticism is okay. It's just frustrating because I want to start talking about solutions. I want to talk about what are we going to do about it. I don't want to talk about is it real or isn't it real. So if Sir Smoke a Lot from Denmark ever comes back, I will give him an apology, but I will also explain why I get so fucking frustrated with this climate change. Oh, is it real? Isn't real? They are a troll. They were a bit trollish, no doubt about it. But I don't know. I feel like I can handle myself. I need to be able to handle myself. If I'm ever going to be debating these fucking right-wing clowns, I need to be able to control myself a little bit better. Yeah, how you doing, Simeon? All right, over to our first story here. Kamabla. No, it's going to be misinterpreted as disrespectful. It's, because people, the right wing intentionally mispronounce names, so I don't want to be. I find it hilarious. I do it myself. I keep calling her Kamala. I keep saying the wrong thing. I keep fucking it up. Okay, anything produced by Lada, the Russian government can rival the probably outmatch. No, I mean a Lada is a piece of shit, but it's a functioning vehicle for a couple decades. The Cybertruck, like I said, is a tissue box. Any Cybertruck that's been driven on the road is going to be in a junkyard in 5 to 10 years. The only way you can have a Cybertruck that's going to stay in good condition is if you just never drive it. You just literally put it on a tractor bed and you show it to people. Look at this stupid fucking thing. Look at this monument to one idiot's ego. Right? That's all the Cybertruck is. Functioning vehicle is a very big overstatement. I mean, look, man. Here's the thing about a Lada. They're shit buckets, okay? But you can, you can jury rig the son of a bitch, right? And get it working. It'll get you from point A to point B. The Cybertruck, you're fucked. I mean, one little part breaks on it, one little thing breaks on it, the whole thing is fucked. Okay? There's a big difference between the Lada and the Cybertruck. And yes, no, the Cybertruck is shittier. The Cybertruck is stone cold shittier. We're going to get to it in mint, graded, and sealed. Exactly. That's the only way you're going to have a Cybertruck in 5 to 10 years. Is if you've never taken it outside, you follow all the cleaning procedures when you do clean it, right? You got to clean it without water. At least you get a good frame with Lada. I mean, look, it's a Russian shit box, okay? But you could probably pull a fucking part out of a washing machine or a lawnmower and like a hot, jury rig into that thing to get you across the fucking Siberia over to fucking Moscow to get your goddamn vodka. Whatever the fuck Russians get up to. Hey, welcome back, Ribbons. Good guy, Dari. Good to see you. I always need tissue paper. Why? Because you're chronic masturbators. All of you. Sick perverts. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Stop attacking your audience. You could probably make a vehicle out of a lawnmower. No, you absolutely could. Yeah. It'd be a very shitty one, Anyway, okay. Can we get to the fucking news? You guys are so entertaining and interesting. I can't help but talk to you, though. I'm sorry. I think there's two extremes of this idea of cheapest focus probably. Yeah, strategy. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about there. Okay, I know this shitting up. Trust me, guys. It's at the end for a reason. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got a lot of amazing. Look at all the tabs. I got a lot of amazing evidence to show you about how shitty. Kamala Harris says Donald Trump is quote unquote full of lies on Call Her Daddy podcast. Why? Just God help me. God help me, please. On Call Her Daddy podcast, I just have to be very candid with you. So, hey, that's great, but honestly, we're still having, I don't know, Ford. I don't know. Welcome back. I don't know. But we're honestly, we're still tiptoeing around calling this felonious, treasonous pile of human fucking feces, Donald Trump.
China?
We're still having a problem saying he's a liar. We're still civility. We're still worried about civility with this guy.
I'm Donald Trump reminding you to fuck yourself. You got it?
Okay. Hopefully he's defeated, and then I can delete this. I'll never use this again.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
How am I? This is how I'm doing. That's how I'm doing.
Bitch.
Maybe I'll never delete that soundboard. Family's doing well. Thank you for asking. Constipated or horny? I can't tell. Both. Donald Trump, you're either, he's probably half the time constipated, half the time shitting his brains out. That's why he's got to wear the diapers. So anyway, yada, yada, yada. Call her daddy. That's the only point I wanted to make with this is, I've made all the criticisms. You've heard me make all the criticisms that they're making. It's like Hillary 2.0, and in terms of how she's running her campaign, talking about bipartisanship, talking about going after centrists, talking about going after independents. Where the fuck's the get out the vote campaign? You're buying lots of commercials and lots of radio ads. At least you're doing that in the swing states. You know, Hillary was straight up avoiding some of these swing states because they just wrote them off. Like, oh, we're not even going to spend money. We're going to dump all of our money in the states that we think we're going to win, and the strategy is going to be razor thin, these states specifically, and it didn't go her way. So she definitely has a smarter strategy than Hillary, but it's still this idea that you're going to convert, you know, what's really going to happen is that these dissatisfied right-wing conservatives, you know, the Davies, right? They're either not going to vote or, you know, they're going to vote, you know, for wacky independence or something like that, right? But they're not going to vote Republican, but they're less likely to vote for Kamala.
Bitch.
I didn't say it, he did. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say there. So this is disgusting, but this is all we need to, you know, look, I just wanted to remind you, these people are horrifically disgusting, hypocritical liars. These advertisements. I swear to God, I'm not looking, I've never looked at any of these in my life. Would this help? This is nothing but a bacteria trap. You don't want to do this. This is nothing but a bacteria trap, dog. It's just the fucking poopy fecal matter is going to get trapped behind this thing, and then you got a bigger problem to fix. Well, I don't know. I guess if you do it right, if you apply it correctly. All right. Not bad. Timu. Anyway, here's a list of all the Republicans that voted against FEMA funding before Helene hit. So just a few months, you know, just a few months or weeks before hurricane season, all of these son of a bitches, every one of them, and it's a huge list. I'm not gonna read it all because it's so fucking huge. Just write off the whole party. The whole party, delete them. They are, yes, Ponder Monkey. Good God. Good God. Look, I understand. Everyone likes to play devil's advocate with me. It's something about me. People get, you know, people really get. But we're not going to devil's advocate. The sanitation, the fecal. I weep. I weep. Jesus weeps. Jesus weeps. Oh, yeah, Tisriel, the quality from Timu. How do I get all the poop? A colonoscopy. Colonoscopy. Shut up, strategy. Don't be kink shaming, but do keep the poop stuff to yourself. Anyway, look at this. Talk about poop stuff. You know, I mean, this list, this is the House members. I'm still going on the House members. House members, House members, House members, House members. Here we go. Now we're on the Senate. This party is irredeemable. Welcome back, Leon. Welcome back, Leon. This party is irredeemable. Stop. You know what I mean? I know I'm speaking to the choir, but here's more proof. You know, next time you're in an argument with your idiot uncle, these people are repugnant. And quite frankly, conservatives, you know, across the board, across the fucking planet, are basically like this. I'm sure in some of, like, you know, the Denmark, Norway, you know, really, really nice democracies, there's some actual honest conservatives. But grand majority of conservatives, grand majority of right-wingers are pieces of shit. All right, let me switch my subject here. They're trash. They're fucking trash. Irredeemable. Irredeemable. Have you considered ad block? I'll block you, buddy. Oh no, not the Galactic Senate that gave Palpatine emergency powers. Look, if we got to do the Star Wars comparisons for people to get it, fine, whatever. They don't get Star Trek. I used to not get Star Trek, so I understand. Because I was like, from the outside looking in, I was like, these people are ridiculous with their little uniforms. Then I watched the show, and it was like, okay, what size uniform and how many pips should I get? Should I go full admiral or maybe just captain? You just don't get Star Trek until you've seen it. Welcome back, Lizzie Mello. Yeah, exactly, Lizzie. No, there's only one. There's only one that so far that comes back to the stream. His name is Davey. And he's a conservative, but he's not a piece of shit. You know, and really the threshold is, do you or don't you accept reality? Which color uniform am I? Blue. Ribbons. You're blue. All right. All right, we got to talk about pieces of shit instead of Star Wars. I'm sorry. Or Star Trek. Oh, hey, that's the brand I use for my baby. Pampers Swaddlers. It's a good brand. Totally recommend it. Yep. No skin irritation. Yep. I scrape poop off of my son's ass with those wipes. Good wipes. So this party, once again, I'm just reiterating, this party is irredeemable. Fecal Matter Monday, it kind of is, isn't it? Yeah, woke patriot, because you got a smart brain in there in that little noggin. No, I'm just kidding. No, because you're down with it. You get it. Why do I do that? I don't mean to belittle people. I'm sorry. I suck. I'm sorry. I'm a piece of shit. It's Poopy Mondays. Okay, Mike Johnson. I just, more evidence, delete this party. And people that are still defending it, you need to shame them. Okay? You need to shame them. Mike Johnson claims who won the 2020 election is a gotcha question. Yeah, and I said this in the Discord. I'm going to say it here. Yeah, it's a gotcha. Yeah, we gotcha. You're a fucking traitor. You don't agree with the peaceful transition of power. You want to install a dictator. You're a piece of shit. Yeah, we got you. Answer the question. Oh, I'm trying to look ahead, says JD Vance. Whoa, I didn't know you were a piece of shit. I guess you're a piece of shit then, huh? Oh, that's way out of line. All I want to do is destroy democracy and install a dictator. Come on, leave me alone. You're the real fascist for calling me out. No, we can't stop talking about them because we have to flush these pieces of shit. It's a very fecal day. I can't help it. Just real. Because, no, these people do evil in the shadows. And the more people look away, the bigger that shadow grows. Everyone needs to turn around and look at these pieces of shit swirling the bowl. Everyone does. The bigger the pile, the bigger the shadow. Kind of true, you know. The more of them that are, and this is why this is why I shit on the neoliberals so much, because there's a lot of corruption that they acquiesce to that they're okay with the Republicans committing. They're okay with that because it's like, well, we're also getting paid as well with this. You know, there's like, you know, even now, you know, that Merrick Garland was chosen by Joe Biden because Merrick Garland didn't want to put politicians in jail. Mike Johnson gets to walk around as a free man, even though he helped plan January 6th. Matt Gaetz, I want to say Jack Johnson. That's a singer. No, it's the beanpole. Oh, I can't remember his name. I don't know. There's like a dozen of them. Basically, all of those that voted to not certify the election. Jim Jordan. All those that you know, didn't vote. You know, that still voted in the rubble of the Capitol. They're still voting. Oh, I agree with this. I want this is I don't vote to certify. I'm with Donald Trump. Merrick Garland made sure none of those people saw any flack whatsoever, and that's intentional. That's intentional. The neoliberals put Merrick Garland in charge knowing that he was going to be soft, hands off, soft gloves, soft touch, I mean, white glove, soft touch on these insurrectionists, because they still, even now, even under the threat of full-blown fascism, the neoliberals still want to keep a status quo so that they can still get fucking paid. Kem Goblin, talk to my wife. I got no choice in this one, dude. I'll have to donate the difference. Okay? But I will. I'll let her know and I'll donate the difference. But I got no fucking choice on this one, dude. It's baby stuff, okay? Hands off. Embattled Mike Robinson. So this guy's nuts. Why are they using Vance? Why are they using JD Vance in the thumbnail? Mark Robinson is that black guy where it was revealed he on a porn site. Okay, I'll talk to your wife. It was revealed, he went on a porn site. He's like, I'm a black Hitler, and black people are scum, and it's just a horrible things. Horrible things. And he's losing. So there are limits, I guess. There are limits. I guess, going to porn websites and saying I'm a black Hitler is one of the limits, guys, for the Republican Party. Wow. Party of integrity, guys. Party of integrity over here, okay? I question, though, if this guy was a white guy talking about I'm a Hitler or whatever, if he wouldn't be as punished. But maybe it's because he's a black guy. But I don't have any proof on that shit. I'm just making shit up now. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is trailing his opponents by 17 points in the state's gubernatorial race, according to a new poll. Robinson faces an uphill battle as Josh Stein, North Carolina Attorney General, has 51% support of voters compared to the Republicans' 34%. The High Point University poll revealed that. Look, if you're not familiar with electoral college, and those are big numbers. Those are big boy numbers. I'll just turn this down just a touch for you here. Sorry, I know that's a little distracting. These crypto scammers. Oh, okay. No, that's right. Okay, this is a commercial about the scammers. That's right. Robinson, who has been rocked by public scandal in recent weeks, is also trailing Stein by double digits in two other polls released last week. The Washington Post poll put Stein at 54% to Robinson's 38%. While poll, blah, 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 polls. No, get to the stuff where, okay, here we go. Earlier this month, a CNN investigation accused Robinson of posting racist and sexual comments on a pornography website called Nude Africa. Sounds interesting, actually. There's a lot of gross stuff out there. Nude Africa, that actually sounds rather tame compared to some of the other hives of villainy. The investigation claimed it linked Robinson through an email address and screen name to find the comment. So apparently he had been using this screen name for quite some time. He wasn't very smart. He had done all this, before his political career, Just another nobody, horny, black conservative, on the internet who says extreme things. They do exist. The whole character of Ruckus, isn't that his name, from the Boondocks? So there's a whole archetype within the black community of black guys that fight against their own community so that they can feel camaraderie with a white guy. But usually the lesson is that no matter how much, the Candace Owens situation, right? No matter how much you suck up to the white establishment that wants to keep it white, that doesn't want equality, that doesn't want equity. No matter how much you suck up to that crowd, to those group of people that believe that, they're never going to see you as a human being. Vivek Ramaswamy, another great example. Look, I'm just like Trump, except I'm brown and mousy, and I'm from a different country, but it's not that big a deal. Look, I'm a total fascist. I'm a total unashamed fascist. But you're so brown. You're saying the right things, so we'll let you speak. But it'd be better if you were human. They can't get far enough. Uncle Ruckus, yeah, because it's Uncle. I can't say it right, but right. You either know what I'm talking about or you don't. So he denies making the comments. Come on, give me the comments, man. Don't be pussy. So they're okay. Yeah, Donald Trump literally calls him the Martin Luther King on steroids. I mean, yeah, because that's Trump.
Bitch.
That's fucking Trump. That's what he says. He says hyperbolic, crazy shit. Whoops, wrong. Okay. Here we go. The shocking comment showed the user calling themselves a black Nazi. Sorry, black Nazi, not black Hitler. So I gotta get it correct here. I'll give you $1 tomorrow for a cheeseburger today. But no, he said all kinds of crazy shit. The black Nazi is actually one of the more tame things that he said. X-Fire Nation. Whoa. Watch out. Join the X-Fire Nation today on XM Radio. Go ahead. That one's free. Go ahead and use that one. All right. On to the next story. So he's repeating the just for one day. I'm just for one day. Just for one day.
I can't breathe.
I'm gonna be a dictator just for one day.
Please.
I mean, is anyone really buying? I mean, I have to say it, but of course I know it's true. But I'm forced to say it. Is anyone really buying this shit? And it's
Obama.
Yeah, they're still buying it. They're fucking buying it.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Right, they're buying it. Dictator for one day at Wisconsin. He's repeating it. Golf from then on, yeah. No, I mean, it's ludicrous. It's utterly ludicrous. It really is. It's that, it's that classic Far Side sheep voting for the wolf. It's everyone's seen it. Everyone's seen it. They're looking up. Yeah. They're looking up at a billboard. It's the classic. I don't know if this was the first one, if Gary Larson was the first one, or Phil North was the first one to do this. Or it's Phil North, not Gary Larson. So I don't know who was the first one to make this analogy, but they really are. They really are like this. I'm going to be dictator for just one day. Yeah, that's what I want, and I trust him. He's definitely going to do it just for one day. I'm a total fucking moron. And yes, I know Kim Goblin. I know. I'm sorry. With the plastic. I'm sorry. I know. I have no discipline. I'm a piece of shit. In a beach chair. Look. What they need to do is show him, I don't know, sitting in a room alone doing nothing, fucking doing, spiral graphs. Historians, unbiased historians that aren't busy sucking the neoliberal establishment, are going to point out that Joe Biden is one of the worst leaders, total lack of leadership, completely on autopilot, that I think America has ever had in history. If Trump wins, the union is done. We will become. No, I mean, if Trump wins, I mean, it really is. I'm just for one day. I'm going to be a dictator. I mean, come on. And it's still, the polls are still pretty goddamn 50-50. Too close for me.
So I have to be careful with this. I said once about a month ago, you only have to vote this one time, and after that, everything will be good. And the fake news said, see, he wants to be a dictator and take over the country. No, that's not what. I said, we got to fix the country, got to make sure, and then the country will be great, and we're going to have, hopefully, some great person, whether it's JD or somebody else. And when the great Sean Hannity asked me a question, and I jokingly said, he said, okay, let's get this on. You don't want to be a dictator, do you? I said, Sean, I only want to be a dictator for one day, and I'm going to close the borders and drill, baby, drill. And after that, I never want to be a dictator, right? So the fake news took that answer, and they said, Sean, I want to be a dictator. Click, cut. So they said, Sean, I want to be a dictator. And they go, he wants to be a dictator. They cut the rest of the... These are the worst people. These are the worst. They said he's a threat to democracy. He wants to be a dictator. No, you know the threat to democracy are when you put incompetent people in charge of our country. That's...
Everyone knows my opinions. You know, Bound TRS, you know, your hatred for the neoliberals I fully respect. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that Joe Biden, as much as he is on autopilot, he is still sitting in the chair doing his job. Whereas Donald Trump he'd sit down, he'd barely get a briefing in, and then he'd be off watching CNN, watching the news, you know, for hours and hours and hours, if he was even sitting there. So as much as I despise Joe Biden and the neoliberals, there's still governance happening. Whereas with Donald Trump, it was, you know, day to day, a new thing, a new chaos, a new thing to focus on. You know, like you know, every day you're trying to, you know, you're babysitting a toddler. Like it needs to be reiterated, like you need more evidence, but his tax plan, Donald Trump's tax plan,
Bitch.
Would increase taxes on 95% of Americans. Yeah, no, tariffs aren't good. Tariffs are bad. His plan is to give him and his rich buddies all the breaks, give Peter Thiel all the breaks, and he'll throw you a bone maybe for a couple years. That's what, you know, it's the classic. George Bush invented this strategy. It's really smart. You start off your administration with a big fat tax cut, right? And the rich get a massive, massive permanent tax cut, or a tax cut that will be reviewed, a massive tax cut that will be reviewed in 4 or 5 years. You know, Obama famously, you know, it came up during his administration. He made them permanent. So that's, you know, it's like, it's, you know, killing you softly, step by step, right? It's not a permanent tax cut. It's temporary, and it's temporary for everybody. Of course, it's more temporary for you. Your tax cut lasts a year, maybe 2 years. Maybe with, you know, George Bush, he just sent you a check. You just got like $100 in the mail. And if you were poor enough, you got maybe a small tax cut for a couple years. That shit is not renewed. It's never renewed for the poor. Right? So that's, you know, that's what he might do, right? He'll pass these insane tax reforms, massive tax cuts for the Peter Thiels and Jeff Bezoses. You get a little bone thrown for a couple years. Yeah, exactly. Leopard eating faces over there. And then the egregious tax cut that was supposed to be temporary. They always say, "Oh, it's so temporary, so temporary." What's the problem? It's just temporary. It's just gonna, you know, it's an injection of the economy. It's gonna be all about. It's gonna be so great. It's all temporary. Then they'll pay. Then they'll be patriotic. Then they'll pay their taxes. Then it becomes quietly, very quiet, as quietly as it can becomes permanent, right? Obama was a great friend to the rich. He was a loyal servant to the oligarchy, Obama. Any objective look into Obama would point that out. Last little bit here before we get into our super fun, happy time war section. Have you seen Noel Kassler's interview about the time working with Trump? The one where he talks about how he needed an intern to change his shitty diapers. Is that the one? One where he talks about how the stench that came off this man smelled like 5 fucking outhouses left out in the sun. Yeah. Motherfucker was shitting his pants. I think that's the guy that was telling the story where, one of the famous, he's like slamming his desk, slamming his hands on the desk, and he just evacuates his bowels right there. And like everyone has to leave the room. Yeah, I've shown it. No one fucking cares. They don't fucking care.
China?
Traitors. They don't know what democracy is, so they don't give a shit about losing it. We could go on. But look, this is the burden of democracy. Those idiots are always there. These vulnerable, naive morons always exist within a democracy. It's up to the left to engage the disengaged people, to get them engaged in politics. And if the left fails to do that, then the left loses its democracy because the right always shifts into fascism. They're always attracted to strongmen. They're always attracted to authoritarians. It's happened like a million times. It's happened like a fucking bazillion times, okay? And like America is not immune to it. Potential Trump loss threatens destruction of modern GOP. So I've gotten into this a little bit. I've talked about this. What is the GOP without Trump? Who are these people without Trump? And I've talked about, okay, what's likely going to happen? And I believe what's likely going to happen is that people, they're not going to become loyal Republicans, as much as Lindsey Graham would love that. They are going to check out of politics. Trump brought them into politics. A lot of these people, one of the reasons why the Republican Party is so, it has to stick with Trump because they look at the numbers. Pre-Trump, people weren't excited about voting for Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham. After Trump, people are excited, right? As if the closer they get to Trump, hey, I'm just like Trump. I'm like your local Trump. Votes, new voters coming in. So all that dissipates and dissolves like sugar in water. Sugar and coffee. Ooh, I got some coffee right here. Corporate coffee, delish. All that disappears once Trump loses or dies. And it is encouraging, though, to hear him say, I'm not going to run again. I don't know if that's good or a bad thing. You tell me what you think. Him saying, I'm not going to do it again. It might be him, kind of like trying to light a fire under his supporters' asses, trying to, add some urgency. Like, this is your last chance to get Daddy Trump dictator. This is it. Grift, obstruct, and project. Anyway, this Axios article by Zachary Basu goes over some of the points that I talk about all the time. An identity crisis, a brutal power struggle, years in the wilderness. If Donald Trump is defeated in the next month's election, the Republican Party will face a reckoning unprecedented in modern political history. And let me tell you, I'm going to be here for it. I'm going to be here for it. We will be covering the downfall of Donald Trump, if he loses. And if he wins, Wolverine, I'll see you in the fucking woods, okay? Why it matters. Never before has a party's identity been so deeply entwined with the fate, fortunes, and flaws of one man. 4 consecutive poor election cycles would unleash a wave of sustained scrutiny that the GOP, as it currently exists, may not survive. And I don't know. See, the neoliberals are not going to allow that to happen. The neoliberals are not going to allow this party to die. Hakeem Jeffries and they're gonna try to keep this party alive. Watch. Sounds crazy unless you're paying attention, and then it makes perfect sense. The neoliberals are really just that terrible. The big picture right now, it's difficult to see through the November fog. As Axios reported last week, Trump is laying the groundwork to deny the results of the election, again spreading a litany of baseless fraud claims in anticipation of his potential defeat. This is a pattern, have come and gone throughout history. Is this the end? I mean, it's so X-Fire, but that's the thing. It's like if the Whigs died and, no other, the Democrats and Republicans or whoever at the time, they didn't try to save the Whigs. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't know the whole history, but it died. the neoliberal, like the media, the CNN and MSNBC and the neoliberal establishment, they depend on the grand old party. You got Nicole Wallace sitting there on MSNBC, so-called liberal MSNBC, giving Nicole Wallace 4 or 5 hours. All the owners of these so-called liberal mainstream news outlets, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, CNN, are all owned by right-wing, extreme right-wing fucking conservatives. They are not going to let it die. Election challenges are inevitable. Republicans already have filed over 100 lawsuits, and voting results may not be finalized for weeks, if not months, because of all these election challenges. Some of them can be prevented, some of them can't. It's just part of the system, and the system depends on honest actors. So that's out the window. If Vice President Kamala Harris ultimately is inaugurated in January, a rudderless Republican Party will be forced for the first time to move on from Trump, who has said he will not seek a 2028 nomination. And I've talked about this, right? The Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, Vivek Ramaswamy, all these people, nobody can replace Trump. Nobody. They're going to try like hell. They're going to do everything they can to avoid a reckoning. Look at the Tory party in the UK. Faced with a historic electoral defeat, what has the Tory party done? Not changed a single fucking thing. Immediately going on the attack, immediately rewriting history. People are talking about we need the Tories back because of Keir Starmer attempting the transformation of neoliberalism and failing. Let's see that budget. I don't know. Has the budget been released? I don't know. I need to check if that budget's been released. At last week's VP debate, Senator J.D. Vance gave us a window of what MAGA sans Trump would look like, presenting a polished case for economic populism without the cult of personality. And that's what's really scary. J.D. Vance is the smart fascist. He's the way Project 2025 actually gets implemented. J.D. Vance. Budget not released yet? Okay, thank you, Leon. I swear to God, if that winter fuel allowance is still in there, and Keir Starmer and the Labor Party have learned fucking nothing from the conference vote against them, that's very likely because Keir Starmer never admits that he's wrong. So, man, Keir Starmer going to be a one term. We're going to get the Tories back in one term. Come on, man. So what to watch for? Anti-Trump Republicans, a cohort that swelled in the aftermath of January 6th, are salivating at the prospect of reclaiming their party. And this is fantasy, right? So they're talking about, here are the never Trumpers that are in line ready to take over. Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley, right? Davey likes Nikki Haley. I'm sorry. I'm beating up on Davey. He's not even here. It's not very nice. I apologize, Davey, if you see this. But you do like Nikki Haley. You keep bringing her up. Welcome back, Boeing Stuff. But given the years of hostility towards establishment Republicans and the probable entrance of pro-MAGA forces, even if Trump fades away, the most likely outcome is a deeply fractured party. That's what we're going to see. Exactly, Ponder Monkey. It's going to be a Sean Hannity, a Tucker Carlson. It's going to be one of these media personalities. Tucker Carlson is a good one to replace Trump. But not really though. Not really though. He gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, Trump doesn't give you the heebie-jeebies in the way that Tucker Carlson gives you the heebie-jeebies. There's a confidence to Trump that doesn't seem to exist with Tucker Carlson. Bong and stuff. Oh, marijuana. So anyway, Ron DeSantis, right, blah, 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 didn't happen. So there you go. Right-wing coverage over. It's going to be interesting. And that's going to be like, I'm not going to focus as much on Kamala as I am going to be focusing. I'm going to be focusing on the fall of Donald Trump after, and the downfall of the MAGA movement. how it transforms, how it tries to pivot, how it tries to survive. But then also the main focus I want is going to be on, okay, how are we challenging the neoliberals? How are we making sure that, these people get further and further away from power, that it's not 50-50, 50-50, every fucking election, where every election it's literally overt fascism or corporate neoliberalism. We need to break that cycle. The only progressives are the only entity that can break that cycle, right? The many flavors of progressivism on the left. All right, so let's move on here. Oh God, welcome back, Rob MQ. Good to see you, buddy. I have to go. I'll watch the rest of the VOD later. I'll be there for a friend right now. Hey, you got to be there for your buddies, man. Props to friendship, everyone. Big props to friendship. Thank you, Strategy member, for coming by. Tell your friend to like and subscribe. He's like crying on your shoulder. Here you go, buddy. Open up your Twitch. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this for you, bud. Be inevitable as states like Colorado and California say no, we will not enact Project 2025. I mean, that's Charlie Kirk, talks about this, but they're chomping at the bit. They can't wait for California to resist. Right? They fantasize about death squads and the federal government coming in and forcing the Bible to be taught in San Francisco schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're rhetorically and mentally, they're already ready for the right-wing death squads to be rolling into San Francisco. They just need the right authoritarian to say, it's a good thing. Yes, this is the right thing. This is the moral thing. That's all they need. But the rhetoric is there. The level of hatred is there. They're ready to do it. So moving on over to Israel, Gaza. Yay! Welcome back, Clutch Cargo. Crowds protest in Cape Town for an end to Israel-Gaza war as conflict nears second year. So I just wanted to show, I was peeking around Africa News here, one of my favorite YouTube channels. And it shocks me to this day how many views some of these videos actually get. 286 views. Let me refresh it. See how much that's changed. I mean, 286 views. I mean, it really is amazing how little attention is being paid to Africa. It's a damn shame. African-related news, I think is really underrepresented in the West, big time. Anyway, let's dig into it here. It's 2 minutes. Cape Town protesting against attempted genocide.
Waving Palestinian flags, crowds took to the streets of Cape Town to call for an end to the Israel-Gaza war. It comes as the war is on the brink of entering its second year, and the death toll in Gaza is climbing ever higher. Some protesters said that they feel like history is repeating itself.
As an Irish person, I feel sort of aligned to people that have been oppressed and have struggled and have been colonized. And it's completely unjust what's happening in the world, and it's sickening. And
Bound. Do you think a Trump administration, enacting what you've seen of Project 2025, of course, talking about the entire gutting of the federal government, replacing it with a strict, straight down hierarchy, do you think that would change the attitudes that you're talking about right now?
I want to just lend my voice to this group of people that also stand with the oppressed and with the voiceless.
The state of Israel is genocidal. It's a settler colonial state. We know what it means to have land stolen, racism and white supremacy as South Africans. So I'm here to make sure that apartheid doesn't exist and continue in a legal form anyway.
Calls for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a ceasefire agreement are mounting as the humanitarian situation in Gaza grows increasingly dire and and the fate of the remaining hostages held by Hamas hangs in the balance.
South Africans all need to unite.
Hey, Bound. I think you're underestimating the stupidity and willingness to burn and destroy from the Republican Party. I think you're underestimating them a little bit.
To stand up against what Israel is doing to Palestinians. It's absolutely abhorrent.
You know, the Zionists are doing a big push on campuses right now, trying to shame campuses into equating, you know, any kind of pro-Palestinian support as pro-Hamas support. So that doesn't surprise me that they're out there doing direct outreach.
I can't believe it's still going.
I fully agree, Ponder
It's not just
Monkey.
been 1 year, it's been something like 76 years of just absolute destruction to a country and a people. And we really need to stand together and boycott Zionists.
According to Gaza's health ministry, almost 42,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since the war broke out in the wake of the October the 7th Hamas.
Bound, are you trying to equate Project 2025 with trimming the fat? Is that really what you're trying to? I'm just confused why you're bringing that up. I mean, sure, of course, there's waste in the U.S. federal government. Of course, there is, and even as a lefty liberal, I don't think that's great. I want to clean that up, you know. But are you trying to equate what Donald Trump is talking about, what Project 2025 is talking about, as trimming the fat? Okay, Bound. Okay. I mean, you know, you work there. You have an opinion. That's fair. I respect your opinion. It does appear like you're trying to do soft apologetics for overt fascism. So that's why I'm a little concerned and why I'm calling you out.
Mass attack.
Honestly, I despair when people try to justify this. It shows that people will still justify genocide if it's packaged correctly. Yeah, or even if it's packaged clumsily. This, you know, Israel isn't doing a very good job of defending itself, you know. Nothing changed. Okay. Things are different. Things change, Bound. Project, you know, he learned a lot about what he needs to do to stay in power. And Project 2025 is all about that. It's all about, hey, sir, we're giving you, here's the pathway to eternal dictatorial power. And then the Supreme Court said, yep, you know, they put that foundation down. You know, they nailed laid the cement foundation for a dictatorship. They said, yep, technically a president can do whatever the fuck they want. So, Bound, you're woefully underestimating what a completely unleashed Donald Trump Project 2025 presidency is going to do to America, to the country, but maybe even possibly your job. But yeah, fine. Whatever. It's not that big a deal. Whatever. Sure. Okay. Are you voting? Are you participating in this dirty democracy? We have to participate if we want to change it. Welcome back, Hate Cloudy. Gaza has become the graveyard of Western ideals. This is an opinion piece I saw that I wanted to read to you. Newsweek, a few sections, not the whole thing. This is written by Fasil Kuti. Our so-called rules-based international order was always suspect and has now clearly failed. The double standard is glaring. Anyone we deem to be our allies or in our camp are not bound by law or morality, while we swiftly label those who resist as terrorists. The latter's right to protest or even exist is stripped away. So this is true, but at the same time, Hamas is indefensible. And the left needs to address that in their arguments. Hey, cool. Wow, senior Microsoft engineer. I do IT, man. That's interesting. Wow, how offensive. Gaza equals Lebanon. Come on, I thought you were a supporter. Although I'm in a state where it doesn't matter which way I vote. So it's so slanted. Yeah. And Donald Trump is going to make that worse. You know, there's discussion. I believe there's stuff in, you know, electoral college reform proposals in Project 2025. You know, are the neoliberals, you know, claiming that they're going to fix the electoral college? No. Are they promising to make it worse? No. But thank you for voting. 5 Trump nuts in the scrotus will be the end of any liberty we have eked out. It's already over. I performed a funeral for America. The Supreme Court has set this in stone. They have laid the cement foundation for a dictatorship. Literally all that is required. If Joe Biden wanted to right now, he could executive order away elections. He could. The Supreme Court said anything a president does, as long as it's an official order, is legal. Democracy is dead. America is dead. It's just waiting for, you know, it's like a cow, you know, who's like the, you know, on the treadmill with the fucking gun to its head. It's just the trigger hasn't been pulled. It's just waiting for a dictator to pull the trigger. You know? Wow. Twitch politics noob. Disgusting transphobia. That's a ban, dude. That's a ban. Outright transphobia, that's a fucking ban. You're a piece of shit. Coming in hard. How about fuck you, bitch? How about fuck you, you hateful piece of shit? You're likely a 15-year-old fucking bitch. If you said that shit in front of me, I'd slap you in the fucking face, you piece of shit. Welcome to the ban list. Institutions mandated to uphold justice, democracy, and human rights have collapsed under the weight of politics and propaganda. As Indian writer Pankaj Misra observes, Israeli exceptionalism is dynamiting the edifice of global norms built after 1945. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell remarked that Gaza has become a graveyard for the many of the most important principles of humanitarian law. It may soon become the graveyard of Western ideals themselves. Most Western governments have chosen power over principle. Israeli actions in Gaza over the past year have included killing tens of thousands of civilians. Oxfam, and yes, civilians, Zionists.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Oxfam reports more women and children have been killed in Gaza than any other recent conflict in a single year, destroying or damaging 84% of the healthcare facilities as of June 2024, reducing all 12 universities and much of the infrastructure to rubble, and disregarding international law. Western governments either ignore or justify these abuses under the banner of Israeli self-defense, even as the war now extends to Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Iran. Blind acceptance of policies such as escalating to de-escalate, totally absurd, reflects a disturbing turn towards tribalism and blatant disregard of solutions based on international law. And that's exactly what we see. America completely disregards international law when it conveniences them. Why can't other countries? And Israel is quick to mention that. Like, hey, this is almost the exact same way that America, you know, took care of its terrorist problem. The absurdity is stark. Laws in 38 U.S. states criminalize boycotts. We've talked about this. Of Israeli companies, yet no such restrictions exist for boycotting domestic firms. It's totally anti-democratic. It's absolutely absurd. A law in the books that says you're not allowed to if you see an Israeli product on the shelf, you're not allowed to not buy it out of political principle. Absurd. The media, another pillar of democracy, has long framed the conflict in ways that dehumanize Palestinians. Reports tend to obscure the reality on the ground, portraying Palestinians as accidental casualties rather than victims in an unprecedented military onslaught. And that's, you know, every single day, Morning Joe, every single day, Tapper Jake, Dana Bash. This is how they're framing it. Thank you for that follow. Aurora Eagle. The language we see in headlines matters. Israelis are killed while Palestinians simply die. And this language does matter. Israelis are kidnapped, while Palestinians, including children, are detained. And we know full well what happens in these prisons. Actual, literally, rape, torture of all different kinds, people coming out so traumatized they forget their name. And, of course, I've covered it, the stone-cold guilty rapist that was caught on camera, brutally raping this guy until he died later in the hospital, was bandied about on, the Israeli versions of Good Morning America as a fucking hero. Literally. There's currently a campaign to justify rape as punishment. And age is not considered. Age is not a factor. These narratives stifle honest discussion and feed propaganda. Pro-Palestinian voices are rarely heard, and no one demands freedom of the press, even as more than 127 journalists have been killed and reporters are barred from entering Gaza. And I've reported on this. I've shown you MSNBC happy to exploit dead journalists, happy to point out that a lot of journalists are dying, but won't actually investigate the why, who, I mean, that report was more critical than I was giving it credit for of the IDF, but it was still missing some pretty essential criticisms. And of course, the day-to-day narrative on these mainstream, especially MSNBC, CNN, is Israel can do no wrong. They're defending themselves unequivocally. Anyone that gets in their way is a terrorist. Israel remains the quote-unquote only democracy in the Middle East, but that's true. I'm sorry, lefties. That's true. We're dealing with theocracies that hate women a grand majority of the time in the Middle East, even as it bans and kills journalists in what the Committee to Protect Journalists calls the worst attacks on the press on record. Once again, the left needs to come to terms with what we're dealing with here. Yes, it's legitimate that these people are resisting, but it's, the idea that these people want a democracy, they don't vote for it. They don't, when they're given opportunities to vote, they vote theocracy. Universities, another cornerstone of liberal society, have also faltered. Pro-Palestinian voices are routinely silenced or criminalized. Campus crackdowns have escalated to full-blown crises. This isn't about student safety. This is about silencing dissent, says Maria Finkelstein. We are witnessing a new McCarthyism. A Jewish anthropology professor, Finkelstein, was fired by Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania for reposting a Palestinian poet's call to reject Zionist ideology. So right there, the intentional conflating of Zionism with Judaism, and saying that if you criticize Zionism, you're basically saying I hate the Jews. That, like I said before, that's they're attempting to make that normal in universities. Is Rojava not a democracy? I don't know, Chem Goblin. Maybe it is. I admit to ignorance on certain countries in the Middle East, no doubt about it. Finkelstein's firing highlights a troubling trend: the conflation of anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. If criticizing Zionism is to be deemed anti-Semitic, then opposing Islam should be considered Islamophobic. Yet it is not. Religious and political ideologies must remain open to scrutiny and debate by their very nature. Suppressing discourse undermines free expression and intellectual rigor in democratic societies. So this is all true. It's unfortunate that the governments that are being attacked by Israel don't agree with this. They just as much stifle dissent. They just as much stifle discussion, freedom of speech. Egypt is not a bastion of fucking free speech. Jordan doesn't even have a fucking president. Iran is a goddamn straight up theocratic dictatorship. I guess Rojava over here is kicking some ass. Props to Rojava. Last two little bits here. Even so, jurisdictions are rushing to pass anti-Semitism laws and policies that trample on free speech rights and specifically target Jews who oppose Israeli policies, which is just insane to me. They're going after Jewish people. In a UCLA Law Review article titled Defending Jews from the Definition of Anti-Semitism, Itmar Mann and Lily Yona of the University of Haifa and Columbia University, respectively, argue that the conflation is not only misguided, but also discriminatory against Jews who dissent from Israeli policies. So not only are they calling you, you're not a real Jew, they're trying to ruin your life. Which is like, isn't that anti-Semitism? Isn't that, if you're targeting Jewish people to ruin their life, it's just, it's not anti-Semitism when Zionists target Jews, okay, guys? Come on. Another casualty of this conflict, last bit, another casualty of this conflict is the two-state solution. The brutal onslaught on Gaza combined with the green light given to settlers in the West Bank, and that's true. It's a green light. They're doing more adding historic amounts, but has all but ensured its demise. As veteran Israeli journalist Gideon Levy has pointed out, with nearly 800,000 illegal settlers in the occupied territories, and these are sons of bitches from all over the world. All over the world. They're there just to be a warm body so that a Palestinian doesn't get it, because they're all wrapped up in the religion and in the theocratic promise. 800,000 illegal settlers in the occupied territories, with occupied properties even being sold in Canada, in the U.S., possibly of relocation is slim. Possibility of relocation is slim. Yeah, they're not relocating Palestinians. No Israeli government will dare to remove them. Oh, they're talking about removing of settlers? Yeah, that's totally off the table. Despite these setbacks, there are glimmers of hope. So they get into a few glimmers of hope. It's not even really mentioning. As University of Chicago professor John Mearsheimer bluntly stated, the truth is you wouldn't have Hamas and you wouldn't have a problem if there was no occupation. And this is what I talk about all the time. If the Gaza Strip scenario was being repeated in Ohio, you would have Ohioans, stone cold Americans, right? Hot dog eating, baseball playing Americans acting like Hamas. Maybe it wouldn't be so theocratic. Maybe they wouldn't, force their women to wear hijabs, etc., etc. But it would be resistance that would be interpreted as terrorism, and of course, desperate, disorganized, uneducated, theocratic institutions don't always make politically strategically smart decisions. Oh, that's a great choice. That's a great point, Ponder Monkey. Glimmers of hope in an ocean of despair. Honestly, the glimmers of hope are depressing. Trust me. It's just like, well, maybe the international community will give a shit, and maybe things will get better. It's like, no. This is raw, naked power. It's not going to change unless the international community is willing to sanction and punish the United States for its unmitigated support. And nobody is doing that. They'll wag their finger, they'll do a speech, and that's it. Yeah, Tisrael, I mean, it can be hot, sure. Yeah. As long, if that's what she wants. If she wants to wear that silly getup, she's allowed to. It is time for Western institutions to confront their failures. Liberalism may have lost its way, but the people have not. So it's like, yeah, it's time. Sure, it's only going to happen with action. It's not going to happen because it's good and righteous and good things in the universe, and that's just how it works because it's a Disney cartoon. It's only going to happen if we actually make it happen. The courage and resilience displayed by those standing up for the justice in Gaza embody true Western ideals. I'm hesitant to say what Hamas is doing is courage and resilience, and it's really tough. How do you come to terms with that? The only path forward is commitment to human rights and justice for all, regardless of ethnicity or religion. I totally agree. It's unfortunate that the players in this game don't agree with that. The Muslim players, the Israeli players in this game do not agree with this statement. They don't agree with this statement. Neither side. Gaza has laid bare the moral bankruptcy of the current world order, and it's up to us to salvage what remains. Now, that statement I fully agree with, because that's we are. If it's going to happen, if the change is going to happen, it's going to happen because we force it. Period. So sorry.
The Israeli government wants you to believe that this is all about.
Excuse me. So sorry I had to read all that, but I thought that was very important because that article really does touch on, kind of the factors there of what's happening. Yeah, Tisrael, exactly. So here's Mehdi Hassan, absolutely just, doing a great job, Hook your boy up, Mehdi. I'd love a job, dude. I'd wear a tie. I'd shave. I'd probably still smoke weed, though. That's probably the game. That's probably the killer, right? Yeah, that'll get me no jobs. I got to get off the weed. I love it. I love it so much. But I know I have to quit. So thankfully he changed the format from trying to squeeze everything into 2 minutes. Remember when he did that? Here's all of Israel's crimes in 2 minutes. So he changed the format. They're giving him enough time to speak now. So here's violent and reckless. 5 things you need to know. Israel can't stop sounding genocidal in Lebanon, and just like with the Gaza Strip, you got people who represent Israeli government or are close to are talking heads, respected talking heads, talking about why don't we just take it? Why don't we just take the whole thing? And how come this? What are we talking about here? Why, of course it's ours, isn't it? Isn't it biblically ours? Never gonna make you cry. All right, so here we go, Zateo.
The Israeli government wants you to believe that this is all about security, about protecting ordinary Israelis at the northern border, and that this war isn't against Lebanon or the people of Lebanon, but only against Hezbollah. Right. The problem is that, like with Gaza, their ministers can't stop sounding genocidal in public when they talk about Lebanon. Just have a listen to what Israel's education minister, Yoav Kish, had to.
Yeah, I made that promise, and then I had a blind son, and my life has been turned right upside down. Having a disabled son changes everything. And I needed Mary Jane. I needed a shoulder to smoke on.
To say on a live television interview just a few days ago.
אין שום הבדל בין חיזבאללה ללבנון. לבנון.
So there's no difference between Hezbollah and Lebanon, which is factually not true. With that said, it's not like the Hezbollah runs Lebanese government, but there's a lot of it's a gray area, but there's definitely the Lebanese people did not vote for Hezbollah. The way things are progressing at the moment, Lebanon will be annihilated.
תושמד לאור כמו שהדברים לא תהיה אותה לבנון כמו שהם מכירים. אני לא הולך להתעסק.
I'm not going to deal with hunting down Hezbollah's rockets, so just blow it all up. Just kill it all, wipe it all out. Because that's going to be the justification for keeping the Gaza Strip, or at least a good chunk of the Gaza Strip, the northern area of the Gaza Strip. We can't give it back to them. We can't trust them. I don't want to give it all back to them and then have to deal with rockets again. So the only way to really do this completely is to just take it all over. And by the way, wasn't it all ours biblically anyway? Aren't we going back to the 1400s and saying that it was, it was all gifted to us by Yahweh? So, I mean, it's really ours anyway. We might as well just take it.
חיזבאללה, את המחיר לתוקפנות מאדמת לבנון תשלם מדינת לבנון.
Annihilated, he said.
Yeah.
Annihilated. Yes, despite Netanyahu claiming that Israel's war is just against Hezbollah, Kish purposely made it clear, very clear, that in reality they're not even going to try and do targeted attacks on only Hezbollah. Their plan is to do to Lebanon what they've done to Gaza.
So, I mean, that's... Is this guy, a cabinet member, Bibi Netanyahu? Who is this guy? Let's see here. Hold on.
In public when they talk about Lebanon. Just have a listen to what Israel's education...
So, okay, this is an education minister that just said that. So this is a guy sitting in the Bibi Netanyahu government. But he's not part of the war cabinet, right? But he's a pro vote when he's a yes vote when if Bibi Netanyahu says, well, should we just take all of Lebanon? He's like, yeah, sure. But that's pretty frightening. All right, he's definitely part of the current sitting Israeli government. Hey, Ponder Monkey. Well, you know, I'm not proud of being addicted to marijuana, but it really is what it is. You know, you got to cope somehow, and it really is. My God, you know, there's so many things I was looking forward to doing with my son that I won't be able to do, but I have to keep telling myself that there's a million other things that I'm going to be able to do with my son, but it's just going to take him a lot longer to learn how to talk. It's going to take him a lot longer to learn how to walk because he can't see. So, next footage here. Watch Israeli Special Forces storm Hezbollah terror tunnel before entombing it in concrete. So I wanted to show this because I'm also going to be showing Hamas propaganda. So I thought I would just, you know, be fair and balanced TM and show a little Israeli propaganda. And I got to say, the Sun is really hamming it up with the language. Wait till you see some of this. The glorious Israeli heroes destroying the evil, despicable enemy. I mean, they really just pour it on. I believe this is the one where they pour it on. And it's just a little over the top, guys. Like, you know, we are talking about a country that is currently enforcing a full-blown apartheid in the West Bank. The glorious defenders of the Jewish religion. I'm exaggerating, but, you know, it's just like, tone it down. Neutralized. Kitchenette living area. You can see that this is where they poop. Rwandan forces combat bags. Prepare for an attack. Yeah. These do look like well-constructed tunnels that are being used. Those tunnels that Israel showed, you know, with like, it looked like the back rooms. There was fucking nothing, no furniture, no nothing anywhere. It didn't look like they were using them. Right? Was the point that I'm making here. These look like tunnels that are definitely being used, and they look extremely well constructed as well. Yeah, exactly, Tisrael. You got to make sure, get it in there. Infiltrate the Hamas command center. You will require state-of-the-art gear. Night vision goggles for your gun. Okay, I don't know how it paused for some reason. No, these tunnels are being used big time. Look, there's a fucking bag of Doritos, dog. Yo, they got porno TV. Nice. You can watch all the latest beheadings. Yeah, these tunnels look like they're being used. For sure. And they're deep. This is a dope tunnel. So apparently they entombed it in concrete. So I think that means they literally filled the whole thing with concrete. Only 300 meters from the border and did not cross into Israel. Okay. Rooms in the underground hideout contain showers, a kitchen, even a small relaxation spot with a tea kettle and a TV. And a fridge, yo. Oh, look, they put a little smiley face on the fridge. Yo, fully stocked. They got candy in there. Can you believe the terrorists eat candy? So no, this is not the video I was thinking of, by the way, that had the language that was really hilarious. But yeah, here's them entombing it in. Why are they hiding the cement company's name? Why would the cement company be ashamed of this? Terrorist foodstuffs, inedible by non-terrorists. Oh, is that how it works? All right, I'm okay with all this. I'm no fan of Hamas. You know, no love lost for Hamas, or not Hamas, but Hezbollah. I think their strategy is wrong. I don't think they actually care about, you know, the people that they supposedly protect, Hamas, Hezbollah. I think it's a power game that they're playing. You got the leaders of Gaza. They don't or leaders of Hamas. They don't even live in Gaza. So no love lost for Hezbollah here. But you know, you can kill these people without murdering innocent men, women, and children. Israel doesn't care, though. Israel does not care about killing Arab people. So when they go, well, we can kill this guy, but it's going to kill a bunch of, you know, other Arab people. They're like, yeah, that's fine. We receive no punishment for it. People, half the time, you know, the international community doesn't even bother to wag its finger at us. You know, the United States got away with killing brown people for over a decade, you know, and, there was some finger wagging from Amy Goodman on Democracy Now!, but that's about it. So it's like, yeah, kill them. Go crazy. Who's going to stop us, and what's going to happen if we do? Oh, nothing? Okay, yeah, then what's the problem here? You know? That's it. Really, it's just that, you know, callous. It's just that simple. No. There we go. You ever fight in a basement? Nobody likes to fight in a basement. I prefer towers. You ever play Castle Risk? Has anyone ever played Castle Risk? It's a really cool version of Risk. It's a really cool version of Risk where there's a special mechanic where you get to place a castle on one of your territories, and you get to and you also have boats, by the way, but you get to I was hoping to find a picture of the castles, the little castles that they give you. But then what you do is you get to it's a powerful defensible position, and you can put dozens and dozens of troops in there. There they are to defend them. And you got little flags that go in the castles. Really cool variant of Risk. Heavily recommend Castle Risk. I need to buy myself. I had it when I was a kid. I didn't know how special it was, and you know how kids are. It just ended up destroyed. So I need to buy it again, but this is such a cool version of Risk. Back over to the horror show. 6 killed in Tel Aviv train station shooting. 2 terrorists from West Bank are shot dead by security personnel and citizens after a killing spree. I don't think this is good. I don't think innocent people deserve to die, even if those innocent people are acquiescing to an attempted genocide. Even, you know, there are ways to carrot and stick those people without murdering them. Did I have any packages today? Oh, I see. Is all the shit that I'm talking about terrorist organizations? Yeah, they're really worried about the news underground. Oh, Allah Akbar, Abdul. Did you hear about what news underground said? Unbelievable. Get him. Check your beeper. My beeper. Was this the fucking 90s? What am I, a fucking doctor? No, I meant when you delivered the mail, did you have any packages? Delivered the mail? Huh? Did I have any packages today? No, I meant when you delivered. Postman Pat. My black and white cat, he died, and I got horribly depressed and drunk, and then I lost my job, so I'm no longer Postman Pat. I'm now suicidally divorced Pat with no job and no purpose in life. With his black and white cat picture next to his chair that he drinks whiskey out of. All the birds are singing, the day is just beginning. Pat thinks that he's a happy man. I know the whole song, okay? I got a CD with all the theme songs on it for my son. 6 killed in Tel Aviv train station shooting. 2 terrorists from the West Bank are shot dead by security personnel and citizens after killing spree. So once again, I don't think innocent people deserve to be gunned down. This is not good. This doesn't help. This doesn't help Hamas. This doesn't help Arab people. You know who this helps? Bibi Netanyahu. Ben Gvir. This totally helps the psychopaths that want to do the most damage, that can do the most damage. Holy Redemption stealing Palestinian land. Yeah. Doot to do. Welcome back. Why is it so hard for people not to say killing innocent people are bad? Well, it's tough because the Palestinian people do deserve to resist. And Hamas, like it or not, is the largest organization that could be interpreted as resisting, and it is technically true. They're throwing shots at the IDF, Hezbollah as well. It's the problem is that the revenge is justified in a way, right? Because Israel is killing tens of thousands of innocent people. And ask yourself what you would do if your family was murdered by a state actor. You have you dedicate your whole life to your family, to making a home. Your home is blown up with your family in it, and now you're alone, and you don't have any family. What do? You pick up a gun. That's what I would do. I'm honest. I can be honest with you and myself to say that, yeah, no, if a state actor blew up my family, I would take revenge on that state actor. So, and that's understandable. That's human. That's literally human, right? That's why, the Charter of Human Rights, talks about, how is a defense justified? Well, defense is justified when you are, being invaded, when you're being oppressed, when there's an apartheid against you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is that the defense is our theocratic maniacs. That's what they got. Hyper extremists. And Bibi Netanyahu knows how damaging this is. That's why Bibi Netanyahu did everything he could to get Hamas in power in the Gaza Strip. He understands it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They do exactly what, like I said, they might as well be working for Bibi. Exactly what Bibi wants. More terrorism, more fear, more rockets, more violence. Bibi without Muslim extremists would be like the Mexican cartels when the drugs are legalized. Power just deflates like a balloon without, that's been opened up. If these Arab Muslim movements in these Arab countries decided against these actions, said, we're going to go Gandhi, no more rockets, no more terrorism, Bibi Netanyahu's strategy would he'd be panicking. He'd be totally panicking. He'd be like, okay, what kind of atrocity do we need to commit to get them to change this stance, this peace stance? We can't have these resistance organizations, throwing away their weapons and saying we're no longer going to use violence to resist you. We're going to resist you, but we're no longer going to fire rockets. And Bibi Netanyahu would be sweating. But how do you say that? How do you say that to Ben Gvir right here, right up front, terrorist? Yep. Oh, there's another Muslim terrorist. Yep. See, I told you. My xenophobia totally, points us out. This is it. You can't trust them. Got to kill them all if you want safety. Got to kill them all. This is what I've been saying. Right? Might as well, the Muslim extremists that did this might as well have just been working with Ben Gvir. Perfectly slots into his narrative. Victimhood narrative. Defense narrative. But how do you imagine yourself as a Palestinian child, that, as a teenager when Hamas gets into power 20 years later, you can't even get in the lap of luxury in the United States. You can't even get a quarter of the population to even pay attention to politics. Well, now imagine being under what your average Palestinian has to deal with, right? And then also being able to, articulate a political, position on anything. You're like, well, yeah, no, I don't have a cell phone to charge, and I certainly don't have a data plan, but I did get half a cup of drinkable water. I got half a cup of drinkable water and a handful of uncooked rice today, so I'm really doing good. So, me, Mr. White Guy over here, I'm trying to tell this guy, yeah, you got to look into Gandhi's nonviolent philosophy to disable Bibi Netanyahu's, fake defense narrative that he's using to justify the ethnic cleansing. And Bibi Netanyahu knows that. The West knows that. Why do you think they blow up schools? Moving on to the next one. Israel steps up offensive against Hamas and Hezbollah. And once again, this is, exactly what, that previous article that I read to you is talking about. It's an offensive against Hamas and Hezbollah. It's not conquering. It's not, it's not displacing millions of people. It's not any of that. It's a defense against a vicious horde. The Huns at the gate. Let me just make sure. I just want to see if there's anything latest out of this. So of course, yeah, they're doing the October 7th. I guess I should mention, since we're covering Israel Gaza, October 7th anniversary. Terrible idea. Half-assed. They were super excited to get into some paragliders and murder a bunch of music festival goers. And they thought, okay, we're going to get in there, suicide squad them, and then 10 minutes later, the IDF is going to smoke us. They had no idea that Bibi Netanyahu was going to open, he knew this shit was going to happen. He knew this shit was going to happen, dude. He intentionally left those border positions underfunded, skeleton crews. So it was just an embarrassment, shambolic example of exactly how terrible Hamas is. If they had any smartness about them, they would have kidnapped some of these soldiers at these outposts and treated them well, held them, put them on camera, did real negotiations, not kidnapping women and children with babies. The whole thing was a complete fucking joke. Hamas in October 7th. Botched operation. That's not how you create consequences for the oppression of your people. If they really did care about not fueling Bibi Netanyahu's genocidal narratives, they wouldn't have even touched the music festival. Yeah, well, 9/11 is a whole different thing, but yeah, if you want to buy 9/11 on face value as an attack from Al Qaeda or what the fuck ever, yeah, totally stupid. Whatever. We'll get to 9/11 one of these days, and you'll all hate me. I'll make sure every one of you hates me. So this does look like it's basically the same, the best video on the subject right now. So we'll get to this.
Now, it may not feel like this in this square tonight, but Israel is a country braced for more war. I'm speaking to you from outside.
Ford the perfect 100%.
The defense ministry just over there, which could order airstrikes against Iran at any time. Iran has already grounded overnight flights from all its airports. It follows an intense night in both Gaza and Beirut as Israel stepped up its offensives against the Iran-backed groups Hamas.
I can't turn it off. I'm cursed with this. Once you peer into that void, once you've opened your mind to what's really happening, once you've become that cynical, you can't turn it off. You can't. It's like when you start pissing, right? It's just like, well, I'm going, baby.
And Hezbollah. There were more than 30 airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs, Hezbollah's stronghold, hitting targets near Lebanon's only international airport. The health minister
I half agree, Chem Goblin. Hamas does not deserve the benefit of the doubt. But no, innocent Palestinians, yeah, it's not the innocent Palestinians' fault that the West is so easily fooled by, it's pretty advanced propaganda. It's pretty advanced propaganda. You have to, it's going to take decades, centuries to really unravel the myths that the Zionists have, spun into the American zeitgeist. I mean, before I started looking into this, I just legitimately assumed that Zionism was Judaism, that it was just like, that Israel was like the capital of the Jews. You know what I mean? Like that a grand majority of people, that's kind of how they understand it. Like, well, isn't Israel like the Vatican, but for Jews? Isn't that how that works? So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Ministry says that Israeli airstrikes killed 23 people yesterday in the Bekaa and Baalbek Hermel regions and across southern Lebanon. Hezbollah has fired dozens more rockets at northern Israel, triggering warning sirens in a number of places. There's also been a shooting attack at Beersheba bus station in southern Israel, which killed a 19-year-old policewoman and injured 10 others. And in Gaza, Israeli airstrikes...
Hey, you got to give credit to the armed Israeli populace. 1 policeman died and 10 others were injured. And you saw the images there. This guy was like, he was gunning down and his buddy was a spotter, I guess. He didn't have a gun on him for some reason. I don't know why that was. I didn't really talk about that, but seemed kind of weird. And maybe he was just support, right? Here's your ammo. I don't know. But you got to give credit to the armed Israeli populace. 10 injured and only 1 policeman was actually killed. That guy was seeing shots immediately. It's like he went into a Texas gun show and tried to hold somebody up, right? He's got the red bandana on. Give me all your money. Click, 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 all around him.
19-year-old policewoman and injured 10 others. And in Gaza, Israeli airstrikes hit a mosque and school, sheltering displaced people in central Deir el-Balah overnight, killing 26 and wounding dozens more. It's also launched a major new offensive in the densely populated Jabalia refugee camp.
Wait a minute. I thought they cleared out all the Hamas out of there. Jeez. Okay, you know all the stupid sarcastic points I'm going to make. Why even bother?
Alex Thompson has this report, which does contain distressing images.
Okay, yeah, and I do believe this does contain distressing images, so I do need to get,
In the early hours of this morning, the first strike blasted in. A mosque and a school housing displaced people targeted in what the Israeli military call a precise attack on Hamas.
Yeah.
The immediate aftermath.
And once again, it's always precise. It's like it literally kills women and children in a fucking maternity ward. Babies as they're being born, blown up. Precise, baby. That's totally precise. So I mean, that's either is that them saying, yeah, we intentionally killed those civilians? Is that what they're saying?
For Channel 4 News.
No, of course not.
Praying in the midst of carnage over one of at least 26 people killed here in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. A humanitarian, quote, safe zone in name only. Among the dead carried outside the hospital this morning, this child, the father, simply beyond words. Gently shrouded, another innocent life gone. And then grief nearby turns to rage. My wife and daughters were martyred, says Khalil Abu Auda, who was sheltering inside the school with his family when it was hit.
Pipoka, I think your heart's in the right place, so I'm not going to criticize what you just said. I will simply point out that ignoring this, looking away from this, is acquiescing in a way to this villainy. So that's all I wanted to say from what you said.
يعني هي ثالث مرة ولا رابع مرة خامس مرة أنزل.
But I get it. Some
من
people
منطقة
can't handle
لمنطقة
it.
من منطقة
I get it.
لمنطقة وكل منطقة بروح فيها بنضرب فيها. الله اللي بيسلمنا.
In Jabalia, in Gaza's north, hundreds flee once more. Months ago, the Israelis declared military operations here complete. But last night, it was again encircled. Israel's army citing efforts by Hamas to rebuild its operational capabilities.
Yeah.
Israel's war aim, eliminating Hamas, unachieved 1 year on.
And these, okay. Bad
Overnight, at least 20 people were killed in an airstrike here, with injured and dead children brought to Kamal Adwan Hospital.
So we're currently looking at a blurred image of 1 to 2 year old babies who were killed.
أهداف إسرائيل كما يفعل في جنوب لبنان كما يفعل هنا وهناك نقول له بإذن الله تعالى أن الشعب هذا رسالته لكم بالدم الدم بالدم يا شعب إسرائيل.
Israel orders.
Is this man really to be blamed? Is this his dead children lay at his feet? Is this man really to be blamed when he takes up arms against Israel? That's where things get really, really complicated. Pipoka, I totally disagree with you. And the reason why I disagree with you is that the propagandists have understood for quite some time, after the Vietnam War, that the less reality America sees, the more it's likely to acquiesce to illegal actions. So you're just fundamentally wrong in what you're saying there. People actually do need to see it to know that they're against it.
Israel orders civilians to go south. Gaza's Hamas-run Interior Ministry today told them not to evacuate, saying claims about safe zones are lies. With the Israeli army launching what it calls a new phase of war invading Lebanon, civilians here faced again with an impossible choice. Ceasefire negotiations at a standstill, Lebanon invaded, and escalation with Iran looming. Hopes for peace seem dormant.
And Alex joins me now from Ashkelon on Israel's southern coast. Alex.
Hey, Pipoka, thank you so much for understanding my side of the position, and thank you for coming to a compromise. I appreciate that. Thank you. Not too many people do that. On this subject, I just want to give props where it's due. Sir Smoke a Lot, please come back. Maybe not. Maybe he was a troll. I'm too hard on people. I'm really hard. The reason why I'm hard on people, though, is that the longer we Twitter, the longer we debate, it gives these villains more time, and it's like, when do we act? We know what needs to be done. We know what is morally correct. I understand we're all busy. We have to find the energy. We have to find the time. We have to, or else they win. It really is coming down to the wire. I know it sounds apocalyptic or cynical or whatever, but the villains are winning. And I've said this before, Bibi Netanyahu is winning. Ben Gvir is winning. Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, the MAGA right wing, we don't know if they're winning yet, but we'll know in 27 days if they're winning or not. But it's like the villains are not going to go away. The villains need to be defeated.
Yes, indeed, Matt. This city, roughly 6 miles north of the Gaza Strip, and
Okay, Kemga, I did read that. Yeah, okay. You're making a good case that he's not worth it, but I need to handle those situations better. I need to handle those situations better.
In so many ways, it looks utterly normal, a completely different world, of course, from the events going on just across that border to the south, but not entirely. A number of Hamas rockets fired into this area this afternoon. The authorities said at least 2 penetrated Israel's Iron Dome defense system, but landed on open ground. Nobody was injured, no damage sustained. So people gather here, as they do across Israel, tomorrow, which is, of course, October the 7th, a date absolutely etched, it's fair to say, into the Israeli national consciousness. It will be marked in events across the country, but particularly down here, close to where Hamas came across the border fence 1 year ago, killed 1,200 people, took 250 people hostage, many of those still held. Those events we will be marking tomorrow, as will so many other people and media from around the world here. Back to you.
Alex, thanks very much indeed. Well, earlier I spoke to Gavin Kelleher from the Norwegian Refugee Council, who's in Deir el-Balah in central Gaza. I began by asking him to describe the situation there right now.
The situation in Gaza continues to be completely catastrophic. Last month was the lowest amount of aid that we got into the Strip since this time last year. Military violence continues at extremely alarming rates on an hourly basis.
Well, Popoka, you're welcome to feel that way. All I ask is that you do something, okay? Is that you are acting. That's all I ask.
Just 90 minutes or so before I started speaking to you, there was an airstrike so close to this guest house that the lights outside fell onto the ground.
Popoka, to answer your question, the only thing American citizens can do is engage in civics and engage in politics, taking their citizenship seriously. So engaging their local government and engaging their federal government however they can, of course, using the power of protest, using the power of dissent. And yes, that does mean getting involved in organizing, either organizing yourself or volunteering your time to organizations that are organizing. You don't have to be Martin Luther King to join Martin Luther King in the marches. And believe it or not, I mean, if enough Americans, if there was like a strike, a mass strike for the Palestinians that was really affecting the economy, the federal government would start paying attention. Let's not forget, what did the federal government do when it was confronted with Occupy? Did it just kind of ignore it and let it be? Or did they try to stamp that shit out as quickly as possible before, from their perspective, it got out of hand? Before people started asking for more and started demanding more and realizing that they could. Because a lot of people, a grand majority of people don't even realize that they can do this, that they can demand more, that it is possible to change. So I call it the 3-step program. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 1, put your name down for an organization. Look it up. There's thousands of organizations. Put your name down, sign up, volunteer. And step 3, put in the work. Once a month, ask yourself, okay, what am I doing for the movement? What am I doing for this group that I just volunteered for? Am I giving them money? Am I giving them my time? At the very least, I'm reading the emails, right? They send me some emails about a march happening here or a fundraiser happening here. Just churning activism, political activism into a lifestyle. This is the only way we make change. It's literally the only thing that works. So I'm sorry, you want an easier solution? It doesn't exist. This is how you do it. A lot of lefties are too afraid to talk about what the solution is. I am not afraid to tell you. You either get in line or get in front and start leading. Start leading or start following, but get involved.
Ground and shattered. But what we're most concerned about is the developments of today in northern Gaza and what that could mean for the populations trapped there.
This is the evacuation order issued by the IDF, and of course it's not the first time they've ordered the evacuation of northern Gaza. That's how the whole ground operation started almost a year ago. Why are they calling for that evacuation now?
Well, the reasons for the Israeli security forces' actions I can't speak to, but what I can tell you is there are 430,000 people still in northern Gaza. They've been there since this war began, and they've been determined to maintain their presence in their homes, or at least close to them. 6 of them, my own colleagues from this organization. Right now, we're hearing reports that thousands have already started leaving Jabalia camp in Gaza North Governorate. as Israeli security forces have been moving tanks through the camps and forcefully directing people to leave. But what we're not seeing yet is a flow of people south into central and southern areas of Gaza, where, as we already know, there are not enough humanitarian aid supplies here, and there are no safe places for them to achieve security or have their needs met.
And just to remind people, the level of physical destruction in Gaza is so intense that something like 2/3 of the building that were there before the war are no longer there now. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. We've also seen...
Yeah, and the grand majority of buildings that are still standing are heavily damaged.
The systematic targeting of water infrastructure. I think the latest report said around 95% of educational buildings, talking about schools there, have been damaged or fully destroyed.
And of course, the Israeli shills come out and say, oh, the Hamas tunnels, human shields, it's all justified. It's intentional. They're going after the water infrastructure, going after the education infrastructure, going after the healthcare infrastructure, the food coming in, the aid agencies, making it harder for them, as hard as possible at least, vilifying UNRWA, the #1 aid agency there. It's all intentional. And the reason why you do this is that you make that area into a no man's land. People get sick of it eventually, and then they will naturally, the idea is that they will then naturally find their way illegally into one of the neighboring Arab countries, right? But the problem is that Israel doesn't facilitate that. They're trapped. They are literally trapped. Their only hope is south, through Egypt, and Egypt has a 5-layer fucking border up there, a monster-ass border. You're not sneaking through, right? Maybe if you have enough money to bribe the right people, can you find a way through? But that, if you're poor and you got no means, you're totally screwed. You're trapped in there. Maybe that's the next move, right? Make the problem worse enough, and then, all of a sudden start providing bus, free bus ride to Jordan, free bus ride to Egypt, or to a smuggler that'll take you to Egypt. All right, I have so many other links. Unfortunately, I can't show you this whole Channel 4 magazine here. It's really great. It's not bad reporting. It's biased, Western bias, of course, but I've seen worse. So here is that Hamas propaganda I was telling you about. I don't think we'll watch the whole 5 minutes here, but it's censored. We're not going to see any dead bodies or beheadings or anything like that. But I just, I've showed some Israeli propaganda. It's only fair. I show some Hamas propaganda. You've heard my comments about Hamas. I don't support them. I think they're fucking idiots who are not defending their people appropriately. But let's go ahead and observe, because it's not a two-way street. I think there's 75 or so IDF soldiers that have died since the incursion into Lebanon. So, these guys are definitely getting shot at themselves. Snipers are apparently very popular Hamas tool right now. They're utilizing snipers pretty heavily.
The war in Gaza has now lasted almost a year. And while Israel's attention has recently moved to its northern border with Lebanon,
as long as sports are happening, there will be no time for protests.
It's clear that Hamas is still resisting Israeli forces inside.
Bread and circus. The circus is important. The news has turned into the circus, though. The mainstream media has kind of turned the daily news grind kind of into that circus. But the sports definitely doesn't hurt. A lot of people, they completely disconnect from politics, and the only information they imbibe is sports related. I guess I used to be about like that with video games, though, so it's not just sports.
The Gaza Strip. Throughout the war, both sides have filmed and posted footage of their soldiers on the front line.
Yeah. And of course, Israeli shills would say, oh, you look, see, they're using civilian infrastructure. Where the hell else are they supposed to be fighting from? An open field? Here I am, IDF, gonna go ahead and fire a rocket now, if that's okay with you. The entire Gaza Strip is nothing but urban area. I mean, not technically the entire thing, but a good chunk of it.
Such video releases are now less common from the IDF, which says its ground operations inside the Strip are largely concluded. But Hamas has maintained a steady stream of uploads to social media, perhaps in an attempt to show that it is still militarily capable. While the timing and precise location of these clips is often hard to verify, they are useful in showing how Hamas continues to wage its guerrilla campaign against the Israelis. In this clip, we reportedly see Hamas operatives planning and executing an ambush of IDF vehicles in the southern city of Rafah.
What do you mean? Which argument is stupid? I'm just wondering. Why would we presume that a war with no real win condition, actors having nukes,
most hostile encounters captured on camera are
well, because using the nuke is very possible. I mean, I guess depends on who uses it, but using the nuke has its own consequences. You don't get to. Nobody gets to be like the United States and just gets to drop a couple nukes and then it's all good. You know, that situation was a once in a generation, once in a multiple generations scenario where they had a golden opportunity to drop those bombs to see what it would do. But now, with mutually assured destruction all but guaranteed, dropping a nuke has its own consequences. You don't just get to use it in a vacuum. Why do they use civilian infrastructure argument people use? Yeah. No, it's true. It's true, but it isn't true. I mean, like Hamas using schools and hospitals is very true. They absolutely do that. And it's despicable. At the same time, you know, they could choose to avoid those, you know, those areas where they like, okay, this is a kid's school, we're not going to go there. They choose not to do that. And their argument is that, well, if Israel kills a bunch of kids, that makes us look better. So they're disgusting human beings. They could choose to not do it in schools and not in hospitals, but they do anyway. But the whole, you know, oh, look, see, they're shooting out of an apartment building. See, it's all justified. 2/3 of the buildings had to go. It's, yeah, like you said, pretty ridiculous. Yeah, Zeo Duke. Yeah, exactly. Welcome back. It's good to see you.
Much smaller in scale, targeting individual groups of soldiers.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ponder Monkey. Yeah. Everyone kind of does it. That is correct, Chem Goblin. Yes. Ooh, this is nasty footage. That's Hamas looking, and then they open fire. So you don't get to see what happens here, but it's implied that. So this is Hamas super close, dude, in a fucking, you know, just a couple, you know, maybe 10 feet away, spying on the IDF, and then it's assumed, we don't know that this could be total propaganda. It doesn't. The shots don't even really match up, but it's implied that that's what's happening.
Hamas also appears to be relying heavily on skilled snipers to target enemy soldiers from a distance.
Man, look at that sniper rifle, by the way.
To target enemy.
What the is this? Is this just a pipe with a? This looks like this was literally manufactured. This was welded together. Look at this. This thing is homemade. The scope is not homemade. This entire rifle is homemade, dude. This is wild. Look at this. They machined this. Wow, that is crazy to me, dude.
Soldiers from a distance.
Yeah, so they wisely, they don't show the footage, but yeah, there's lots and lots of footage of Hamas dropping IDF soldiers.
Israel destroying dozens of Hamas tunnels since the start of the war.
It's illegal. Someone should arrest him.
It's clear that some are still being used to launch ambushes.
They said,
this
okay,
video
IDF
was
guy there.
reportedly filmed in Khan Yunis.
You know, and when BB and Ben Gvir see this stuff, they grin ear to ear. They're like, "Yep, see, told you, it's the only solution." Kill, 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 kill. But what do you say? What do you say to the Palestinian that has, you know, his whole life taken away from him? You know, his family died in a refugee camp while he was out trying to get food, you know, for them. He's trying to get water and food for his kids. He comes back, they're you know, killed, which is a story repeated over and over and over again across Palestine. How do you tell that person to turn the other cheek? And Bibi knows that. Bibi knows that. They know that. So here's the State Department playing fun little. Technically, we never said we wanted to work with Hamas, which is true, but it also makes their calls for a ceasefire completely pointless. You know, well, when we talk about ceasefire, we talk about a potential future technocratic government that is not being implemented or talked about or planned. That's what we were talking about. We weren't talking about a deal with Hamas. We always agreed that Hamas needs to be completely destroyed. The negotiations that he's been talking about for years have been between Hamas. It's been assumed that the ceasefire, this entire time, the ceasefire they've been talking about with Hamas. It's all been about Hamas. Whoa, not really. Technically, we always thought, you know, Hamas should be destroyed, but like I said, a technocratic government that no one is proposing, that no one is planning, that's not on the table. Right? Bibi Netanyahu dances around the subject of what's going to happen next in Gaza. Well, that's, you know, we were talking about a nebulous idea that no one was really talking about. It was really specifically.
We never wanted to see a diplomatic resolution with Hamas.
Never wanted to, and a big smile. Technically, isn't this a fun game we're playing? Isn't this a fun game we're playing? Technically, we never said that. We only said we want ceasefire now. We only said we want negotiations. We didn't say with Hamas. Tens of thousands of Palestinians dead.
We never wanted to see a diplomatic resolution with Hamas.
Well, okay. Well, what about the ceasefire?
We wanted to.
GTI Cody, what do you think about the thousands of Palestinians that were being held without trial against their will before October 7th? What would you call those prisoners, or would you call those POWs?
See a ceasefire, but we have always been committed. We have always been committed to the destruction of Hamas. We did want to see a ceasefire, but we have always made clear that we wanted to see a different authority moving forward.
Yeah, we didn't talk about a different authority. GTI Cody, I noticed you didn't answer the question about the thousands. I've only condemned Hamas maybe a dozen times during this stream alone. That never matters to people who are Zionist shills. The only thing that matters to Zionist shills is that everyone needs to agree that everything Israel is doing is fully justified, and that the Palestinians are less than human. They, of course, don't even deserve the right to defend themselves. But can we talk about October 6th, when thousands of Palestinians were being held against their will with no trial? Some of the children being kept in cages. I've shown the images.
In governance of Gaza.
So isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? Every time we were talking about a ceasefire, we were actually talking about a technocratic government that we actually weren't mentioning or talking about. And once again, GTI Cody, like I said, Zionist shills, they don't care about. I could repeat it over and over and over again, and it just doesn't matter, right? No matter what I say. As long as I am critical of the Israeli government and Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Gvir's ethnic cleansing and attempted genocide, then no matter what I say is anti-Semitic, and I agree with Hamas, I agree with killing kids. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how nuanced I get. It doesn't matter what I say. You just repeat it over and over and over again. So what is the point? So my question is, what's the point of talking to you? If this isn't a discussion, this is just simply brute force, you repeating over and over and over again that I support Hamas, no matter how nuanced I get, no matter what I say, what's the point of talking to you? So there you go. I mean, thank you for saying that, because that makes my point for me, is that the only thing you're interested in is the destruction of the Palestinians. You fully support the Zionist agenda of destroying Palestine and taking it over. You agree with colonization. You agree with genocide. And by the way, I need to remind you, supporting genocide is actually against Twitch TOS. I know Twitch makes an exemption for Palestine, for Palestinians. Twitch thinks it's perfectly okay to call for the genocide of the Palestinians. Twitch says that's fine, you can do that. Don't do that against any other, type of person, but for Palestinians it's understandable. But actually in this chat, it's against TOS to openly call for the genocide. Yeah, no, you're the one who's a proud murderer, but I'm the idiot. I know. Right. So I'm just going to go ahead and do what I should have done 5 seconds ago, of course, and hit that flush button. You're literally supporting murdering an entire people and conquering their land. But I'm the idiot. I'm the terrorist. I'm the immoral one. But what more can I say? But yeah, isn't this cute? Isn't this cute over here? When we were talking about negotiations, we actually weren't talking about Bibi negotiating with Hamas. We were actually talking about Bibi Netanyahu negotiating with an entity that doesn't actually exist and nobody's talking about. Didn't we mention that? Thank you for coming back, Sir Smoke a Lot. I owe you an apology for being an asshole. You're still wrong. I will say this, though. Skepticism is okay. Skepticism is healthy. Skepticism without proof is just annoying. It's just contrarianism. The reason, once again, let me repeat this. The reason why I got so fucking pissed off is that it's established science that climate change is real and that it is man-made. It's not up in the air, or maybe certain parts not 100% accurate, possibly, actually, probably 100%, probably. Are you capable of pointing that out because you're doing your own climate studies, because you're a climate scientist and, okay, that's, I'd love to hear you. If you're just like, nah, bro, I don't believe it, something ain't right, it's like, okay, that's your opinion. You're allowed to have that opinion. But you must also acknowledge that that is an uninformed opinion. Like, you're just like, that's just my feelings, bro. So last little statement here. Isn't this cute? Tee-hee. Look at the smile on his face. Look at the fucking smile. It's a game to him. It's just a fun fucking game to this guy.
I never want to see a diplomatic resolution with Hamas.
Look at the fucking smile. We never said we wanted a diplomatic resolution with Hamas. Every time when we were talking about ceasefires and negotiations these last couple of years when we were defending Israel's genocidal actions, every time we were talking about ceasefires, we were talking about a theoretical technocratic element that doesn't exist and that Bibi doesn't talk about, doesn't put on the table, and that we haven't proposed. That's the negotiation and ceasefires that we're talking about. Didn't you know that, dum-dum? Didn't we make that perfectly clear that every single time that we were talking about negotiations, we meant some shadow, non-existent entity that doesn't exist? Didn't you know that, dum-dum?
Okay. Well, what about the ceasefire?
We wanted to see a ceasefire, but we have always been committed to the destruction of Hamas. We did want to see a ceasefire, but we have always made clear that we wanted to see a different authority moving forward.
We didn't propose that different authority. We never talked about that different authority. We never pressured Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Gvir to do anything about implementing a different authority. The news media didn't really hold us to account when talking about a different authority. Bibi Netanyahu completely took the PLO off the table immediately, talking about we can't trust the PLO as an authority there. You're the dummy.
In governance of Gaza.
Big fucking smile. Isn't that cute? Love his cute little fucking smile. Eddie Munster over here. Motherfucking Eddie Munster. Eddie fucking Munster over here. Eddie fucking Munster over here. Give me a big picture of this son of a bitch. Na 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 na. We never technically said that. We never technically said ceasefire with Hamas. We were some kind of entity that didn't exist. Didn't you guys know? Aren't we cute? All right, moving on to Ukraine now. My God. This is Big Fat Bitch by 9/11 Playa. This makes my neck fat jiggle. All right, thank you so much, 9/11 Playa with Big Fat Bitch. Okay, talking about Russia now. So this is, from a pro-Ukrainian website. So take these numbers with a grain of salt. But with that said, these numbers are probably within the ballpark, right? But Russia war casualty toll up to 1,160 in the past 24 hours. So I mean, Ukrainians across the entire front line, even if they're stepping back like they had to do in Vuhledar, they're making the Russians pay big time. Does it matter? Does it matter? What is this? What is happening? Why is this on my screen? Okay, back to the news. That's the question. The Ukraine is making Russia pay. There's very few countries that could sustain these kind of losses, and Russia is unfortunately one of them. Kind of their big military strategy is quantity over quality. That's targeted ad. I gotta check my lymph nodes or whatever. I gotta squeeze my thighs. Oh my God, I got lymph fluid in my ankles. Fuck me. Oh, I can see the fucking lymph fluid. I'm like a Stretch Armstrong doll. I'm filled with corn syrup. Oh, I'm disgusting. You got to put me in the microwave to soften me up. Poke it with a stick. Someone poke my lymph liquid-filled leg. Right. Do you have anything of substance to say except I'm a dumbass, or do you want to leave without me having to show you the door, Chameleon? So anyway, back to my point here. Ukraine is fighting an enemy in the way that the enemy wants to fight it. And Ukraine is making Russia pay dearly. Is that enough? That's still on the table. Okay, well, I gave you a second chance to say something worth a damn, so I'm just going to go ahead and flush you. Goodbye. I gave him a second chance. I gave him 2 shots. Sorry, Ponder Monkey. Sorry, I cut you off. I know you guys want to shit on him. I gave him two shots. Mega hack shuts down Putin's online state media. So this is kind of an interesting story from Politico. Kremlin says specialists are working to identify who attacked critical infrastructure facilities. So apparently, Putin's 71st birthday or 70th birthday or something like that was interrupted as well by hackers. Yeah, Woke Patriot, that's correct. Should I unban him because the statement that he made is technically correct? Okay, yep, I'm doing it. I'm unbanning this person because the statement he made is technically correct. There you go. See, now I need to go into my filtering here. Hold on. What the hell was this guy's name? Chameleon, huh? Let me see if I can find him here. It should be at the bottom. Yeah, there he is. Okay. There we go. Totally unbanned because the statement that he made is technically correct. What can you do? Yeah, it's true. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. Facts over feelings. But no, this is great. Mega hack shuts down Putin's online state media. Ukrainian-linked hackers hit Russian state broadcaster VGTRK with an unprecedented attack, President Vladimir Putin's spokesman said on Monday. In early morning hours, all of the company's online broadcasting and internal services stopped working. Ooh, nice. They infected everything, including the streaming services of prominent TV and radio channels such as Russia 1 and Russia 24. Of the comedy of the absurd, he could be a character. Has any, Woke Patriot, you're extremely well read, and I've thought about this quite a bit. Has literature ever really had a Trump? Is there really any fictional character that has really captured how dangerous, how charismatic, how toxic, he is and what he represents? And, has literature ever created a character like that, Because it's like, I think most people wouldn't go as far as Trump has gone because it's unrealistic. It's like, no one's going to believe this. This is fantasy. But yeah, probably there has to be a Trump, like a character that, but before Trump existed, not after Trump, before Trump. You know what I mean? Well, maybe after Trump as well. I don't know. This picture of Dean Martin over here looking at his wife's big old ring. Yeah, we get it. You're rich. State-owned news outlet Gazetia RU reported that the Ukrainian-linked hacker group Sodom RM-RF. Dude, I love the pseudo. Dude, their name is a command. What is this command? Sudo RM-RF. What does this do? Hold on. Let me see what this does. No, say RM. Yeah, Linux command. So the RM command for Linux is used to completely delete files. Yo, I knew it. The RM command for Linux is used to completely delete files and directories without making any copies. Hell yeah, dude. That's a fucking cool name for a hacker group. Fuck yeah. That's the command you'd be to wipe out the computer. Oh, that's cool. So they were behind the attack. The Russian state broadcaster's press service acknowledged that it had been the subject of the hack, but said no significant damage was caused to the media holdings operations. So we know that's false. Means recursively, means force. And then the pseudo command will force it, will make sure that it happens. Oh, that's great. Trump is pretty much Tartuffe. Yeah, okay, I need to look this guy up. Because I'm writing about a future where the MAGA movement, where the libertarians, kind of evolve into libertines, and I'm just trying to find like analogs in literature, so I'm going to look this up a little later. Tartuffe, or the imposter, or the hypocrite. Tartuffe o imposteur, first performed in 1664 as a theatrical comedy by Moliere. The characters are Tartuffe, Emir, Elimeyer, and Organ are considered amongst the greatest classical roles. Okay, what's the theatrical comedy called? Because I bet you there's a performance on YouTube of of them doing the stage play. Yeah, pseudo. That's what pseudo means. Super user. Well, that's fascinating. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now, but thank you so much, Woke Patriot. So this is really great news. They hacked him. Ukrainian hackers congratulated Putin on his birthday by carrying out a large-scale attack on the all-Russian state television and radio broadcasting company. A Ukrainian law enforcement official familiar with the matter told Politico. Welcome back, Old Growth Company. Moliere died on stage in one of his own plays. Wow, what a gangster, dude. What a G. Yes. I mean, that's kind of like, if you're a real artist, if you're a real performer, that's the dream. That's the dream. You're the only other thing that is that you would be like, I hope this is like my death scene, my character's death scene, and then I literally die on stage during my character's death scene. It's like, that's selling it. That is selling it, boys. That is owning your role. Like, that motherfucker's a good actor. He really died, dude. Employees complain that all information on the servers have been destroyed, even backup copies. Online broadcasting and internal services do not work, and there's no internet and telephone connection, he added. So yeah, there's the lie. The pseudo RMRF is true to their name. They didn't encrypt everything. They deleted everything. Hell yeah, boys. Yes. All right. Oh, it gets better. He used part of his death spasm as his performance, and his character was indeed set to die in the scene. You're kidding me. No, it did not work out that way. It did not fucking work out that way. That just has to be how what the story evolved into. No way. No way. No, he's like using his real death spasms. Come on. No. That's not true. That's not true. It's too cool. He's playing a hypochondriac. True story. It's too fucking encore. Boo! No encore. Boo! No, it's literally too cool to be real. It's literally the coolest story ever. It's too cool to be real. Okay, here's something that is very real. This is never before seen footage of October 7th, on October 7th, so we should watch it. It's October 7th. Sorry, I guess I got my links mixed up. We're in Ukraine here, but I do want to show this. This is important to show this, so we're just going to jump back to RAEL. Yeah, okay, sorry. We're just going to jump back into Israel really quick because I do need to show this. Sorry, I should have had this ordered correctly, but this footage is unbelievable. So these IDF guys are fighting with the settler defense, force, the police area that's meant to defend these kibbutzes, these homes that are on occupied land. Let's make that clear. So these two, I think this is an IDF soldier, the one in the middle, and I think this is the guy on the left is the settler defense. As you can see, they're kind of equipped differently. One has just a bulletproof vest with a normal civilian shirt. The other one is fully decked out in military gear. And then as you can see, we'll get back off-world colonists, by the way. Then as you can see, we have the third person on the right, full-blown civilian. But remember, every Israeli citizen has been trained to be by the IDF, right? There's a mandatory IDF training service that you have to fulfill. So this guy has likely been through that training as well, and you're going to see him utilize the training. So he's clearly, I don't know. If I was this guy, I'd be asking for a pistol. I'd be like, please give me a gun to defend myself. I know how to use it. I was trained by the IDF. I was caught off guard. I don't have access to my rifle. Give me something to defend myself. I can throw bullets in the right direction. That's what I'd be saying. I don't think this guy is comfortable with a gun. As you can see, he's scared out of his fucking mind, rightfully so. But he still finds the courage to be useful on the battlefield. And you're going to see it's actually extraordinary footage. I've never seen civilian, helping a military, person in the line of duty like this. I've never seen footage like this before. It really is something. Once again, Hamas's attack on October 7th, atrocious. Terrible idea. They completely fucked it. They completely fucked the whole thing. Gift-wrapped present to Bibi Netanyahu, and they have done a historic disservice to the Palestinian people by doing this harebrained, murderous terrorist attack on October 7th. I hope that is clear enough to the Israeli shills that'll call me a Hamas supporter regardless. But I hope that's clear enough to them that I find this to be reprehensible and obviously didn't help the situation. So as we can see here, there's no audio. But yeah, this guy has to be the territorial defense, settler defense or whatever. So this is the footage that I'm talking about that's totally mind-blowing. Was waiting for the condemnation. Now I can stop clutching my pearls. Yeah, okay, exactly, old growth company. It is important. Some lefties, and I'm criticizing lefties for it, criticize the occupation, but leave it ambiguous about where they rest on Hamas because they're trying to defend Hamas as some kind of legitimate defense, and it's more complicated than that. It just is. But anyway, this is the footage that is shocking to me. We have a civilian here, so this guy's taking cover, watching out. Obviously, the terrorists are throwing shots in this direction. These guys are taking cover. He was winged or damaged in some way. The IDF soldier, and here we have the civilian. I don't know if he's applying a tourniquet or some kind of bandage of some sort, but just wild, wild footage. I think this guy is barefoot, by the way. Yeah, dude is barefoot, either that or sandals. Might be sandals. But yeah, so he's doing some kind of rap. It doesn't look like a very tight rap. It doesn't look like a very good rap. He's trying like hell, though. Wild situation, totally wild situation. And then we see in the next scene here, so this is crazy. This is what they look like. This is Hamas terrorist right here. goofy little hat there. AK-47. Gee, I wonder where he got that from. Trying to take out the drone. Hard to hit those drones. I think later in the video, they show a blurred out picture of his dead body. One thing that's interesting here is this next footage that we're going to see where IDF soldiers are operating, right next to a home. And I'm not sure if the bomb that's blowing up is a mortar strike from Hamas or an attack from the IDF. And remember, what do they call the initiative? What do they call that where they justify killing Israeli hostages, the IDF? Oh, there's a word for it. They have a whole name for it. But they re-engaged this protocol that basically allowed them to kill regardless of the context. And I'm curious, is it the Hannibal Directive? Is that what it is? The Hannibal Directive? Yeah, the Hannibal. Yeah. But no, so the IDF has, I think what it's called, the Hannibal Directive, which basically says if an Israeli is taken hostage by terrorists, kill them all. And that's, it's unfortunate, but it's their fault for, it's like you are not morally reprehensible for killing an Israeli person, because you were ordered to do that. They are morally reprehensible for taking hostages. Of course, the shoe on the other foot, when we take our prisoners, we're not taking hostages, even though they absolutely are taking hostages. They don't get their day in court. They're being held against their will in a fucking jail cell. There's thousands of them. But that was happening on October 7th. That was happening all over in various kibbutzes. It's been reported by Haaretz. I'm not just pulling shit out of my ass. I never do that, especially when it's talking about Gaza. The IDF absolutely killed Israeli hostages and innocent Israeli civilians on October 7th when they were fighting Hamas. So here we see an explosion of some sort happening very close, shattering the protective glass over this solar panel here. Was that Hamas? Was that IDF? I'm not sure. Like I said, we guaranteed the IDF killed Israeli innocent civilians and hostages. But anyway, really wild footage that I don't know if this was seen. I've never seen it before today or yesterday, actually. Pretty wild stuff. Then they show just more IDF soldiers running around. Then they show a blurred out photo of the dead terrorist body, which I can't show, so I'm going to skip that part. And then they show just some random carnage from one of the locations that Israel is fighting in. Pretty wild footage on October 7th, so. All right, back to Russia. Back to Russia, Ukraine. Sorry about that. I know I'm jumping around, but that hopefully you agree that footage was simply amazing, and I absolutely had to show it. R-A-I-N-E. Okay, yeah. I think if we were Palestinian at that point, I just want all these mofos to leave me alone so I can grow my olives. I mean, I would definitely. The problem is that I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands, potentially millions, of Palestinians that totally despise Hamas, that don't want anything to do with Hamas, that understand it, the moment I associate with you in any kind of way, my life's in danger, my family's life's in danger, I want nothing to do with you. But that doesn't matter, because Hamas will put a gun to your fucking head and say, guess what, Slick, we're storing our weapons here in your farm, and you're not going to touch them. You're not going to tell anybody about them. We'll fuck you up if you do. Right, so that's supposedly the defenders of Palestine, right? The bullies that are running around Palestine, telling Palestinian civilians, yeah, we're putting you in danger. We don't, if you're a martyr for the cause, that's fine. We're willing to make that sacrifice for you, right? So as a Palestinian, you're really fucked coming and going, and you're just totally fucked if you're a Palestinian. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Moving back to Ukraine, like I said, Ukraine, yeah, we lost Vuhledar. We're going to talk about it. We're going to show some videos. Massive fireballs, fill the sky. Ukraine hitting oil deposits in Crimea. They're fucking it up in the Kerch region. No, not Kerch. God damn it! You stop talking about something for 5 minutes and then it fucking leaves your brain. Anyway, it's not all good news out of Ukraine. But what is not being talked about is the incredible cost that Russia is paying for kilometers. For just a few kilometers of territory, just to inch closer and closer to Kyiv. They have to pay all kinds of material costs and, of course, their flesh and blood, which they don't really care about, I guess. How you doing, Adam? But here's yet another oil depot. 2 Russian oil depots were targeted by Ukrainian drones last night. I think I recognize the singing, so I think I might have actually shown this footage already, unfortunately. Donbas region, I think. No, this is in Crimea region, I believe. Okay, I don't know who's talking, but it's incredibly distracting. You get the point. All right, last 2 videos here. Oh, so here's the video. That was older footage. Sorry, this is the video I was thinking of that we were seeing. This is the latest oil terminal in Crimea that was attacked. This footage was put out 10 hours ago by Canal 13. Let's go ahead and watch this.
On the night of October
Kem
7th,
Goblin is correct. I think that was the region that was mentioned.
Terminal in Feodosia, Crimea. As a result of the strike by Ukrainian drones, an explosion and a strong fire occurred in the terminal.
And when Joe Biden sees this, he doesn't go, "Yeah, go Ukraine. Yep, that's a justified target." Joe Biden goes, "Ooh, is that going to make Putin mad enough that it might affect my presidential legacy and it might affect the Democrats winning in this election? And I don't know. And I'm scared." That's where Joe Biden's coming from. I know the whole aviators, the whole Jack, hey Jack, you better listen up. It's a fucking persona. Okay? Look at the man's actions. Look at how he reacts. When he sees Ukraine doing this stuff, he provocation. Oh no. He's so pathetic.
Terminal. The Ukrainian headquarters confirmed
is there any way we can
and
stop?
Took responsibility.
The oil prices are going to go up. It's going to make me look bad. Is there any way we can stop Ukraine from doing this?
The so-called authorities confirmed the incident but claimed it was a fire. Later, the Telegram channel ASTRA clarified that the oil depot on fire in Feodosia is the joint stock company Marine Oil Terminal, which drones had previously targeted. In March 2024, for drones...
Okay, AI voice. I can't do the AI voice. You get the point. They got another one. Hell yeah, boy. And that's great. History will show that, hopefully, history will show that, while the Western democracies were twittering about and clutching their pearls and worrying about escalating and allowing them to get pulled around by the nose by Putin, Ukraine was doing everything within its power. Ukraine was doing everything within its power to fight back, and it was getting incredibly creative and incredibly effective, even though Joe Biden and his lack of leadership is basically forcing Ukraine to fight with one hand behind its back. Oh, Adam. Are you a young person, Adam? Are you a young person? Is that what's going on? So I wanted to show this video. I've never seen this woman before. I think this is Nietzsche. She's got featured prominently in the back. Tell me I'm wrong. This isn't some communist guy, right? This is Nietzsche back here. Yeah. Okay, Adam. Look, do me a favor, Adam. Try to pay attention as long as you can. I know this is in Skibbity Toilet. I know you're going to have a hard time. Try to pay attention, okay? That's Taras Shevchenko. Okay, who the hell is that? I want to know who this is. She's I think she's pro-Ukrainian. Who the hell is this son of a bitch? Ukrainian poet, writer, artist, public political figure. Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. Excellent. He wrote poetry in Ukrainian and prose. His literary heritage, in particular the poetry collection of Kobzar, is regarded to be the foundation of modern Ukrainian literature and to some degree the modern Ukrainian language. Holy shit. Talk about a resume. You know what I'm saying? Skibbity Biden. Skibbity bop. Skibbity bop doop dap doop. Okay, I need to look that guy up. Okay, so there we go. I thought it was Nietzsche, but it's an even better, pro-Ukrainian, kind of a really cool, like, deep cut Ukrainian reference. You got to love that. A lecture from a Ukrainian. I'm sorry, okay? All right? They didn't teach me much in school. You know what I learned in school? My high school? I learned I like nachos. I learned that they let me pick nachos every day. My school let me have nachos every day. They just put disgusting yellow melty cheese over unseasoned ground beef, and I loved it. I ate it every day. That's what I learned in high school. I like nachos. Anyway, back to this. Kyiv Independent, obviously biased towards Ukraine, but we're talking about a very sensitive subject. Vuhledar getting hit. I wanted to show, I think I actually closed the tab. Yeah, I wanted to show what it looks like when you search for Vuhledar on YouTube. The shit that gets to the top. Nacho, man. So we got ABC, right? Russia captures Vuhledar after 2 years of Ukrainian resistance. Okay, that's a pretty fair headline. We got Hindustan Times. Listen to this one. Number 2 on the search results. Vuhledar captures new Avdiivka moment for Putin, ? How Russia is now one step closer to Donbas victory? This was actually changed. It was different and more pro-Russian when I checked it before the stream. Canal 13, there will be a meat grinder for Russians after Vuhledar. Russians' next attack target unknown. Things have kind of leveled out. The more extreme ones at the top looked more extreme when I started the stream. This is looking a little bit more fair. Russia captures Vuhledar after 2 years of Ukrainian resistance. That's basically the same exact headline as ABC. How significant? Vuhledar's imminent cost will put pressure on Putin. Putin gets desperate. Okay, so this was the stuff that I was seeing that was closer to the top when I started the stream. It's encouraging to see. You guys are still talking about fucking school lunch in there. That's funny. It's nice to see that some of this propaganda has actually gone further down in the algorithm. Hey, Adam, what did I tell you? What did I tell you when you came in here? I said button it up. Do some listening. Okay? Because I knew you would say something that's just going to embarrass yourself. Okay? You're a young person. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I saw that from minute one. Okay? If you had any sense about you, you would stop with these ridiculous questions. Unethical for Ukrainians to be forced to fight? I mean, honey, stop talking. Stop. Use these. We got to use these. I know I sound like your dad, okay? But he's not wrong. Use these. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff I was seeing closer to the top. Ukraine on the verge of total chaos. Oh, total chaos. Whoa. Russia wins Vuhledar. Yeah, bitch. Woo. They only lost, 10,000 fucking soldiers over the course of 2 years? Go, 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 go. So anyway, it's kind of nice to see this push further down. All right. So that's the setup here. I've never seen this reporting. I haven't actually seen this video myself, but I thought, hey, let's give it a chance. Let's see. They're talking about Vuhledar. Let's try it out. I'm forced to fight in my room. Well, I'm happy that there's a special exemption for students like you, Chem Goblin. I just hope that you are currently taking advantage of your opportunity to get an education. That's what I hope. All right, let's get to it.
Why did Ukraine lose Volodar? How is Russia making up for its huge losses? And how could the escalation in the Middle East impact Ukraine? This is week 136 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Yo, dude, millennials and Zoomers over here with some journalism. Hell yeah, this is what I want to see. I want to see 1,000 more of this girl in front of cameras talking about the news from a pro-democracy, pro-liberty perspective. This is what we need, you know. And look, if you don't have the balls to sit in front of a camera and do this shit, that's fine. Get involved. Donate your time and money to these, to Zeteo, to these journalists, these young journalists that are getting out there and kicking ass. Okay? Let them know that we hear them and that we support them and that you know, that their work is not only appreciated, but it's actually needed.
I'm Anna Belliker, reporting to you from Kyiv.
You rock,
and I'll
Anna.
be taking you through the top 3 stories from Ukraine this week. Kyiv has officially withdrawn from Volodar, a small city in Donetsk Oblast that has been one of Russia's primary targets in recent weeks. This is a tactical blow to Ukraine, as the city's capture opens up opportunities for Russia to move further in Donetsk Oblast as part of the campaign to occupy the major logistics hub of Pokrovsk. But it's also a symbolic blow, as Volodar has been in Russia's crosshairs since 2014. When commenting on the withdrawal from Volodar, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that when Russian forces destroy the positions of our troops, we must protect their lives because they are more important than any buildings. Using the opportunity, Zelensky said that Ukraine cannot stop Russia without the appropriate weapons. To the north, near Pokrovsk, this week saw the largest recorded case of mass execution of surrendered soldiers on the battlefield in Ukraine.
And shamefully, I have not had time to report on this. Chem Goblin has been all over this story in the Discord, so thank you very much, Chem Goblin. But several articles, I think I posted one myself from Politico. This is very true. You know, drone footage captures it all, gets them out, and just guns them down. And one video clip was totally unbelievable. Over a dozen Ukrainian soldiers, you know, standing up, executed, you know, like this is World War II. And I every time I report on this, I like to repeat that this you know, every Ukrainian soldier needs to see these videos, and every Russian soldier needs to understand how bad, how negative that this is going to be for them. How lucky they are that they get to surrender to an army that respects human rights. And Russians should understand that they put themselves in direct danger by supporting these actions, these, you know, torturing and executing instead of taking prisoners. I understand, you know, your average grunt doesn't have a lot of control, you know, in those decisions, but at the same time, I feel like Russians should understand that this is not a one-way street.
When Russia shot 16 Ukrainian prisoners of war. Though the execution of POWs is a war crime as defined by the Geneva Conventions, there's evidence of multiple cases when Russian soldiers killed captive Ukrainian soldiers. In some instances, exceptionally violently. Ukraine's Prosecutor General's office has said that the murders are a systemic part of Russian military culture. As of this year, the agency is investigating over 50 similar executions, although the actual number of such violations is likely significantly higher. Russia may also be finally preparing to push back in its own Kursk Oblast after the last unsuccessful attempt several weeks ago. There are reports of intensified missile and drone strikes in the area, and Kyiv even claimed that Russia was striking settlements with no Ukrainian military presence, which is punishing its own local population more than anything. On the civilian side, Russia has amped up its frequency of drone strikes against all of Ukraine in recent weeks, with Kyiv seeing several mid to large-sized overnight attacks. In fact, September is the first month in 2.5 years of the full-scale invasion when Russia launched drone attacks on Ukraine on a daily basis. It's not unlikely that these attacks are a sort of test run for larger assaults to come, likely targeting the energy infrastructure as the temperature drops. September was the second deadliest month for Russian troops since the start of the full-scale invasion, with over 38,000 casualties reported by Ukraine.
Unbelievable.
The deadliest month was May of this year, which had roughly 800 more reported casualties. This number accounts for overall dead, missing, wounded, and captured, but it's not indicated how many.
Have you even? I've seen images of what it looks like when like 100 dead bodies, and it's like unbelievable. I just can't imagine thousands. These battlefields are strewn with thousands and thousands of dead corpses. They don't even have enough time to collect all of them. They just let them sit there and rot for months.
Many troops fall into each category. It's also not clear where the losses occurred, although the high total was probably the result of Russia's ongoing offensive in Donetsk Oblast.
Wave after
As losses
wave after
mount,
wave.
Russia is facing the prospect of a second, likely hugely unpopular wave of mobilization.
They have
In the
to.
meantime,
They have
Russian President Vladimir Putin is taking other steps to increase Russia's manpower.
Yeah.
On October 7th,
He's going mercenaries from China, mercenaries from Africa, anybody that wants to make a buck, right? Anybody that's, not a lot of money, right? But there's a lot of incredibly poor people that are like, that's a lot of money to me. And of course, they don't fully understand the danger that they're putting themselves in. Mortal danger.
Second, Putin signed a law that excuses defendants from criminal liability if they join the army. The Russian government wants to conscript 20,000 of the nearly 60,000 prisoners who are currently held in pre-trial detention centers, according to the independent Russian news outlet iStories.
And they don't want to give them a
Mobilization certainly won't make Russians happier about the war, but it still doesn't seem to be a tipping point for public sentiment. That is to say, Russia isn't in danger of running out of men anytime soon, no matter how many casualties it suffers.
Zeoduke is referencing a statement that either Putin made or the Russian government recently made about how you should be having sex and procreating even on your work break and really cranking out the babies. And it's just an extremely cynical statement, right? Just like we're not changing the strategy. We expect high losses. Our strategy makes high losses. And we just need baby factories. We need you to spit out as many babies as possible so we can get them to the front lines in 20 years or less, maybe 16 years. Get them to the front lines and, get them murdered nice and quickly, get this all wrapped up.
And how desperate its recruiting methods get. In the meantime, Ukraine's efforts to mobilize more troops this year have been slow and at a rate that doesn't allow for rotation or reinforcement at the levels needed after 2.5 years of fighting.
So at the levels needed, does that mean that they're not doing rotations? No, I mean, they're doing the best that they can. They're doing the best that they can. But, Davey has talked about this. We've mentioned this before. We need boots on the ground, NATO boots maybe, but I don't think NATO is going to be happening. The likelihood is we need U.S. Marines on the ground in a non-combat role. That doesn't mean that they won't be shot at. That doesn't mean that they won't die. That doesn't mean that they won't engage in combat either. But we need the Marines to take up these positions that are just defensive positions along these borders where it's, Russia and Ukraine are sitting at the end. They're firing at each other once in a while. But, the main fighting is happening in the Donbass region. The main fighting is happening near Pokrovsk. But they're just holding that border. U.S. troops need to take those positions so the Ukrainians can focus on frontline fighting. But yeah, that does mean boots on the ground. That does mean American troops likely dying. That does mean American troops killing Russians. But this is why I criticized Joe Biden for his incredible lack of leadership, because he's so scared. Oh no, that's when Putin's going to do it. He's going to drop the nuke. Putin is less likely to drop a nuke if there's American boots on the ground. You fucking fossil. You idiot. You coward, Joe Biden. So this is what I talk about with lack of leadership, because he's so scared of escalation. Oh no, I'm so scared. What's Putin gonna do? He's running the show. Putin's running the show here. So this is what I talk about with lack of leadership. If Joe Biden had some fucking balls, if he had some nutsack, he would understand the situation at hand. He would understand what needs to be done. And he would also understand that kicking Putin's ass and pushing the Russian military back to its borders and basically slapping it across the face and saying, what the fuck are you going to do about it, is actually a good thing. Actually makes you look like a fucking badass. Oh, it's a political downer. Ooh, what if the gas prices go up? America is the one that's pumping the most gas. America is the #1 oil producer. We took that title from the Saudis when we started drilling the oil that was on our territory. And now America's the #1 oil producer. So we can't come up. You know what I'm saying? It's a total fundamental lack of actual leadership coming from the White House. The man's in a fucking coma. When we could have a leader with some fucking balls.
As long as Russia continues gaining ground in its slow, grinding advance in the east, it'll keep recruiting and sacrificing troops at about the same rate, likely with little pushback from the Russian public. Our mission is to provide quality, independent journalism from wartime
Okay, they're doing an ad. Is that, yeah, they're doing an ad thing. Okay, hold on. Let's skip their, I'm sorry, we got to skip their ad. Sorry.
Launched 180 projectiles at Israel in an unprecedented...
All right, that was okay. I need to find it better. She was okay. She's just, she's just reading the headlines. I thought she was going to get into it a little bit, but okay, that was just some raw numbers. Okay, all right. Vuhledar is not good. On paper, you could really talk a lot of shit about it, but when you look at it objectively from a battlefield perspective, Ukraine held a much more powerful enemy. Many more tanks, many more soldiers, much more resources, held that enemy at bay for 2 years as that enemy dumped thousands, tens of thousands of tanks and vehicles of all different kinds, tens of thousands of troops destroyed, good troops, bad troops, untrained troops, trained troops, the whole nine dumped and died so that Russia can inch closer to Pokrovsk. That is not exactly a defeat. That is not exactly a defeat. It's not exactly a dub, but it's not exactly a loss either. When your enemy has to pay that kind of price to take such little territory, it doesn't exactly mean that you're doing everything wrong. But it's not good news. I hope for better news. I'll report on Ukraine again very soon. And we'll get more updates about what's happening over there. You're going to hate me. I'm out of time. I don't have time to shit on the Cybertruck right now. I don't have time. I will do the first thing I do tomorrow. I will do a stream tomorrow. I'm going to drop my kid off at daycare, come back and click stream. It will be nothing but me shitting on the Cybertruck. I promise you. I know you keep booing me. I know. I promised. You have not heard enough about the Cybertruck. I assure you. It gets worse. It gets even worse. I promise you. Tomorrow, we will shit on the Cybertruck the entire stream. It's going to be nothing but, maybe not the entire stream. I don't know. I don't know. Not cyberfuck you, but like cyberfuck everybody. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm an asshole. It's me. I'm the asshole here. USA and UE should just get out of it. They've done way too much damage to Ukraine, teasing Russia. Pipoka, couldn't disagree with you more. Couldn't disagree with you more. Putin learning the lesson that all you need to do is several Bucha-style massacres to cow the West into acquiescing to overt colonialism. If that's the lesson that Putin learns from this, he's not going to stop at Ukraine. So it is totally ridiculous to say that this, the U.S. should just, and the European Union should just give up and let Putin do whatever the hell they want. It's just like the Middle East. It's a complicated problem that's really scary. I don't know. And just let them worry about it. Honey, we live on the same planet. Okay? We're fucking connected. You can't just ignore the motherfucking Balkans and expect shit to just work itself out. Does that mean America and the military-industrial complex has an obligation to be the world's police? Of course not. The European Union? No, of course not. Not the world police, no. Does that mean, though, that these organizations do have an obligation to act when it is necessary? Yes. Yeah, okay, Sir Smoke a Lot. I appreciate that, but I also find your statement isn't itself rather cocky in its own way. I think you're oblivious to it. You weren't testing us. You were showing your ass and getting called out for it. But okay, whatever. However you want to frame it. We're all friends now. Apology accepted. Thank you, Sir Smoke a Lot. Actually, the more funny Tesla news is Geico. No, I have it queued up. I queued it up. I talked about it at the beginning of the stream when I promised I was going to cover the Cybertruck, and then I lied to you, and then I lied to you. But no, thank you for coming back, Sir Smoke a Lot. I appreciate you coming back, so I can apologize. But yeah, I'm getting the sense that we're going to be disagreeing on many other things. I don't do hugs. I do big O hugs. Yay, hugs. All right, everybody. Let's not forget why we're here. We're here because we give a shit. We're regulators in the News Underground chat because we give a shit. How do we create change? In fact, there is only one way to truly create change, and that is participating in political activism. You've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. It's that 3-step program. Inform yourself. Put your name down and sign up for an organization and put in the fucking work. We're not going to defeat fascism by working half as hard as the fascists. We're going to defeat fascism by working twice as hard as the fascists. We're going to make those sacrifices in our life so that we can actually create change. It either happens with us or we fucking lose. And we don't just lose a video game. We lose our liberty. We lose our democracy. Pipoca, with opinions like yours, which is the U.S. and EU should just give up, I don't think a conversation with somebody who's saying we should capitulate to dictators is going to be very fruitful. With that said, thank you so much for your patronage of the News Underground. Big props to Zeo Duke. Big props to Sabercat. Big fucking props to Kib Goblin. Sorry, noses. I'm a little sick. Big props to Woke Patriot, Bong and stuff. Sir Smoke a Lot from Denmark. Ponder Monkey. Who else in this chat? Good Guy Dari. X-Fire Nation. Thank you so much, X-Fire Nation. We got a new viewer, new follow. Thank you so much, X-Fire Nation. Old Growth Canopy. All you guys are OGs coming back. Adam, Mr. Adam, pull your head out of your ass. I think you already left to go watch Skibbity Toilet, so that's fine. Nachos are indeed very delicious. I see this in the chat. Very, very important discussion about nachos. Off-World Colonist, big props to you. Thank you, Off-World Colonist. Thank you so much for coming back. Who else is over here? Who else is a regulator in this motherfucking chat? Yo, Carl Toes stuck around for a while. Zeo Duke stuck around for a while. Big props to Zeo Duke and Carl Toes. Thank you so much for coming back. Love it, love it, love it. Big props to Ponder Monkey. If I haven't given those props yet, you get double props. Lucky you. Doot to Do. I think Doot to Do was trying to get my attention. Sorry, but straight bangers. You know it. Thank you for sticking around for the whole stream, by the way, Zeo Duke. Zeo Duke is often #1 in the chat, so it's nice to see Zeo Duke at the end of the stream. I love to see that. Ford the Perfect, big props to you. Big props. And anybody that I missed, thank you for coming in. All you lurkers, it's that view. It's that view. That's the most important thing. It's that motherfucking view. Yeah, exactly, Woke Patriot. Pipoca, yeah, no, yeah, you're full of it, dude. Oh, look at these comments. USA can't accuse anyone of genocide. I mean, I get what you're saying. The U.S. absolutely can accuse other people of genocide and hold them accountable for it, while also being hypocritical in that. It is complicated. All right, Pipoca. The U.S. is indeed bad. That does not remove the crimes that Russia is committing. That does not absolve the crimes that Putin is committing. But the United States military-industrial complex is not a good entity. It's not. Ukraine is lucky. Ukraine is lucky that the United States military-industrial complex finds it beneficial to do what it's doing. If the United States and military-industrial complex, didn't have any use for Ukraine, Russia would have already. This would have been a done deal years ago. That's a fact. That's a fact. No, Pipoka, no. Russia wasn't pushed into being forced to invade Ukraine because of the aggressive bellicose nature of NATO. No, you fucking shill. You think you're clever. Pipoka thinks they're clever. I see you have Israeli in your tags, as Israeli can tell. Free Palestine. Step 1. Treat Palestinians like human beings. But Hamas, is that what you're going to say? But Hamas? Right. But no, Pipoka, come on. You're so transparent, dude. You're so transparent. I mean, really, when you look at it from my perspective, Russia had no choice but to invade Ukraine. They needed a buffer state against NATO. So in that way, you could see it's totally justified. Pipoka, maybe your heart's in the right place, and maybe you're not a dishonest shill. Please stick around and do more listening. Peace to that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. You guys absolutely kick ass. And you know what? I'm going to do it again tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. It's the end of the stream. Bye. See you later, Bull. Big props to 9/11 Playa Paradise. Yeah, Ponder Monkey, exactly. You guys rock. You guys rock. We'll see you again tomorrow. Welcome back, comrades. Sorry you caught me at the very end. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Someone you know is one of us. Someone you know is one of us. Cougars. This Pipoka motherfucker thinks he's so motherfucking clever. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Get flushed. Pipoka just asking questions, guys. It's uncomfortable to have your enemy on your borders. Gee, I wonder why NATO is on the border with Russia. Maybe because Russia will invade their fucking neighbors at the drop of a hat and say, fuck international convention, fuck international law, fuck international norms. Ukraine is ours. Maybe NATO was actually fucking retroactively correct if you look at it that way. Invasion justified. Get that shit out of my fucking chat. Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster.